record.
We didn't hit something correct.
Yeah.
Now we're
Going live now.
There we go.
So hold on. We'll start again. Okay. And we are live in London for the 2026 London Marathon for our live watch-along show. My name is Michael Doyle. I am joined, as always, by my colleagues, my partners in crime, Katelyn, Tocci, Alex Cyr.
Good morning.
We are in London at the Knees Up venue, which is a running shop, community space, and cafe, a lovely space. If you're in London, definitely come here.
Swing by.
It is beautiful. I'm going to do a little shopping afterwards. I'm going to spend a lot of money. And so we're going to be doing our live watch-along show throughout the morning of racing. We're going to cover women's race, men's race. We're going to talk about our experience in London. We're going to talk about the expo. We're going to talk about the pop-ups. We'll talk about brands. We'll talk about shoes. We'll talk about whether or not we're going to see a record number of finishers today. Mm-hmm. That number is... We're looking at 60,000 plus potentially to cross the finish line today. That'll be an interesting stat to keep an eye out for in the end. We should say that this watch along is a second stream experience. So if you're wanting to, I would say the best way to do this is to stream it on either the BBC iPlayer if you're in the UK, or if you are international, FlowTrack has the stream as well, although that is behind a paywall, of course, but if you're a fan of the sport, you know, it's worth the money. So second stream experience. We'll try to figure out how to sync up because YouTube has got a little bit of a delay. I think it's usually about 20 to 30 seconds. So if you want to be a real nerd and go side by side at home, it's about 20 to 30 seconds offset between us and the live stream. Okay, so we should say also, just covering off all the items here, this live watch along is brought to you by Wahoo, the Kicker Run. We'll talk all about that. Alex got to run on it and show off his pace yet again. Of course, he did that in Boston. He did it in London as well. That was super fun. We'll talk about that in a bit. But first, let's break down what we think are the most exciting storylines, as we're about 14 minutes away from the first elite start. Katelyn,
I'm excited.
Vibes. What's the London vibes?
Well, yesterday we were at the expo and we were talking to a lot of runners, getting their bibs, super excited. And we were asking the runners, what's one word that describes London? And a lot of the runners were saying things like busy, 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 crowded, crowded, crowded. But most were excited and said London is fun, London is electric, London is exciting. And a lot of them talking to us about how the London Marathon for the community is just such a big deal and that everyone comes out. Well, we saw it with all the crowds yesterday while we were on our shakeout run, right?
My God. So, yeah, we had a shakeout run, us and 99 other groups and outlets. It was in Hyde Park, full of runners. The busyness of London is, I think, the theme so far. If we'll remember this year somehow, other than perhaps a world record by Mr. Sawe, Mr. Kaplimo, or maybe Mrs. Sefa, this year will be remembered as the year where London was bursting at its seams. Mm-hmm. I think we're on the cusp of seeing London double in size. There were so many people at the expo. On the bus ride to the expo, or how they call it here on this side of the world, the running show yesterday, I talked to this one gentleman who was trying to get into the marathon. He wasn't able to. He was going to the expo with his club. They were doing something with the sock brand. He said, I'm just here to support. Didn't manage to get in through the lottery this year, hopefully next year. And there were so many people in that situation. So I think this is going to be one of the last years that we see only 60,000 people doing London because there's so much interest in this race.
Like 60,000, just double Boston. No big deal.
Yeah, and we'll at some point in this live watch along, we do have to talk about whether or not we're going to see London, I guess you would call it revolutionize the World Marathon Major experience by potentially adding a second day or a second iteration. It's unclear what the pathway is or the plan is for 2027 and beyond, but there is, I think, pretty well reported. It's well reported that London is heavily considering going to a 2-day event in 2027. We'll talk about that. We talked about that in the preview podcast as well that we did a few days ago. The elite wheelchair athletes have been off for about 2 and change, almost 3 minutes now. So we're going to get a start. The very first start is for the able-bodied athletes is the elite women, which start at 9:05 local time here in London. That's in 11 minutes right now for us. So there's a way for you to sync along the live watch along with the live stream as well. Of course, if you're watching on YouTube, which you are, they give us a shout out on the chat. Alex is hovering over the chat and you're pretty good at responding to the comments as well. So got a question, give us a shout out, whatever you want. Yeah.
So far we have a hello from Uganda and another from Toledo, US. So our Toledo friends, you're either up early or up
very late.
I don't know,
Yes.
but awesome. Sweet that you're tuning
early
in.
or up late. It's like 3.
Middle of the night.
They're getting in. They're getting in from their night out.
Great.
I have a question for the locals who are watching us that maybe they can help us out in the chat. We talked about this yesterday at our shakeout run. Well, at least I mentioned it. When the locals get this influx of tourists and influx of runners, we were in Hyde Park yesterday. We all should have been running on the other side of the road, on the other side of the path, right? On the left side of the path. And I thought, everyone here who lives here is so annoyed with all of us running on the right side of the road, right? So if you can help us out when you're running, we should have also been running on the left side, correct?
Yeah.
Also, just like the sidewalks.
Yeah,
Like,
the
what's the deal
sidewalks?
with the sidewalks?
Yes.
Are we supposed to be on the left or are we supposed to be on the right?
Etiquette. I want to be doing the correct thing.
Yeah, I think I was talking to a friend of mine who's been living here for a decade or so, and she said that it's the local annoyances, the number of tourists are. So there's a bit of a sort of like cultural conflict between what side of the road you run or walk on.
Right.
It's more a game of chicken.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
who's going to move first.
Right.
Yeah. So let me bring up the start times here so we can follow along. So 8:50, we've already got the wheelchair start. That's 5 minutes in right now. At 9:05, which is in about 9 minutes time, we've got the elite women's race, which we'll break down in a couple of seconds here. We'll take that on first. We've lost a couple of the top elite athletes, but we still have, I think, arguably the best runner in the world, Antigua Sasefa. We'll break that down in a second. And then at 9:35, the elite men and the first mass participation wave begin. And that is going to be an absolute banger of a race. I cannot wait to talk about that. 2 of the 3 top runners in the world going head to head, and maybe what might be a world record or even sub 2 hour day.
Hope so.
Weather looks good. So, and then after that, we have a cascade of waves that continue throughout the morning. This is a race that is, obviously it's going to be around 60,000, maybe a few more than 60,000 people at the start. Crazy number of people actually, like the attrition rate in the World Marathon Majors, because it's so hard to get into these races, is like 99 to 98.5% finishers.
That's impressive.
Which is nuts. Yeah.
Yeah. Run to walk to crawl, get to the finish line.
Get to that finish line, however you're going to get to the finish line. Absolutely.
Yeah. So about 10 years, even just 10 years ago, talking to even a mid-sized marathon in an American city, they would always plan for about 20 to 30% attrition on race day of people who didn't get to the start line, people who didn't cross the finish line. And now for World Marathon Majors, it's basically like everyone who shows up at the start is going to find their way to get to the finish.
Yeah,
So,
the dropout rate's usually around 2%, so a huge drop-off. I mean, super shoes, carbs, will to finish. I don't know what you blame it on, but yeah, that's a massive difference.
let's take a look at the course here. So the course, it starts in the southeast part of the city, south of the Thames. It's actually quite easy to get to on race day because of the magnitude of public transit. There was a tube strike here this week. I think it's still sort of ongoing. So it's
Really?
a little bit. Yeah.
This is not the week for it.
I didn't notice.
Yeah, exactly. It's been an interesting time getting around London the last few days, but everything seems calm today. It seemed like all the tube lines were open. So it's a remarkably well-oiled machine for a 60,000 person race. You get down to the park where the start in Greenwich, where the start is, and there are 3 different areas where you start from. It's actually quite brilliant. you think about like a world marathon major, you think about Chicago, New York, even Boston, where like everyone's jammed into one spot, and then you just go in these huge waves of tens of thousands of people. Well, they've organized it here with 3 different starting points. So theoretically, you could actually run 3 different versions of the London Marathon if you're a total nerd. And then they sort of join up into a stream a couple of kilometers in, so it's not completely chaotic. The course is basically a incredible tour of London. So you're in for a treat if you're running London and you're there as a tourist, because you get to see all of the major sites, including crossing Tower Bridge, which is brilliantly placed dead set in the center of the race. It's you're basically crossing the halfway point when you cross Tower Bridge. It's the gut check moment in this race. It's one of a couple of gut check moments in this race. You head east, then you head west, and then you finish. And what I would say is one of the most iconic finishes in all of running, which is you hang a right and then hang another right, and there's Buckingham Palace. And then you get the perfect finishing photograph of you crossing the finish line with Buckingham Palace as the stark relief in the background.
I got my photo yesterday in front of Buckingham Palace.
Good.
The one photo that I was not going to leave here without was Buckingham Palace. Thank you, Alex, for that.
It does kind of sneak up on you. We just turned a corner.
And we were there.
It was there. So, yesterday we spent a lot of time around St. James Park and walked around the finish. Yesterday was the mini marathon, so all the kids racing, and it's pretty grand. As cool and as historic as the Boylston Street finish is, the Boston Marathon, there's something about London that you just can't replicate.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk a little bit about, everyone's favorite subject on race week. Let's talk about the weather.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful day, guys.
We're looking out the window now.
Yeah.
Our space is lovely and full glass windows, so we can see it's sunny.
Yep.
It is cool to start here. So I would say I think for elite racing, we're going to see very, very top caliber performances here. East African runners generally like it to be a couple of clicks warmer than Western Europeans, those who are living in North America, for example. I would find these racing conditions a touch warm. A little bit of a baked-in excuse if things don't go well, but
you love running in the cold.
I would say if you're Kenyan, Ethiopian, and you've been training in the Rift Valley or outside of Addis, you're coming in and you're very, very happy with the conditions this morning.
Yep,
it's relatively low humidity. Might get a little cloud cover, which might save from some sunburns. And not very much wind.
No, very little wind. That's the calmest I've seen the city of London, and the sunniest, I guess. I've only been here twice, but the first time I was here, very rainy. So this time around, a lot of sun, very calm. I think you walked out of our hotel and said, "Oh, this is world record weather." And to be fair, I think people are going to run 2 different races. I think the elites going from 9 to a little bit after 11 will have some type of weather. And the rest of the runners, I think, might face a different experience. Some will begin at 10, 10:30, 11, and by then we will see some like 17, 18 degrees. So I think for some people, it's going to be tough. But yeah, if you're starting off at 9 o'clock, there are kind of no excuses here.
We should have for the live watch-alongs, we should have some sort of like a badge or an alert where it's like no excuses day.
Yes.
It's like
you can't have a bad day at the office and the weather.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Last week in Boston, it was no excuses day. It was
exactly.
like all systems go. You got to go for it. And then this week in London, I would say it's a no excuses day with the caveat of like if you're trying to run maybe under 3 hours and 30 minutes, a no excuses day. If it's over that, it's going to start to get pretty warm. It's been like spring to summer like weather here this week in London. I think it'll creep back up today.
I train a few people in England and in the London area, and they told me that the weather is always cloudy, gray, foggy, drizzly. We've had 2 days of beautiful sunlight, so I don't know if I believe them.
Yeah, I mean, last time I was here covering the race a couple of years ago, it was dreary, overcast.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. But
I haven't seen that side of London yet, but
okay. So just to bring back before we start the women's race in just like 2 minutes. To bring back the course for a second here, on the bottom part of the of the course map, you'll see the course, the profile, the elevation.
Yep.
Pretty much pancake flat. I mean, you got to go up and over Tower Bridge, but Tower Bridge was built a real long time ago, so it's not a modern bridge where it's basically a small mountain. It's a pretty easy up and down.
Mm-hmm.
The big speed trap to pay attention to is the first 5 kilometers, which is quite a fast downhill. Historically, here in this race, you've seen crazy fast opening 5K splits. So don't be alarmed if you see like well under 2 hours for the men and well under that 2:15 mark for the women in the first 5K. It's not necessarily indicative that that's what we're going to get in the end, but it's definitely a nice way to start a marathon if you don't get too carried away.
And we're going to have a fast start overall for the women. So one of the cool things we get to see in the days leading up to the race and hear about is the press conference and then the technical meeting. So the professional athletes and the fastest of the field get to meet and agree on a half marathon split. So the women talked on Friday. 67:30 is the goal. So going through half on 2:15 pace. So let's remember the women's only world record, which is doable here because the women start on their own, not with the men, is 2:15.50 set by none other than Tocci last year at this race. Of course, she won the race. She's coming back to defend her title. So on the screen right now, we are seeing a couple of the main contenders. Joycelyn Jepkosgei, Helen Obiri, Tocci. I think it's fair to call this a 3-horse race.
I would say so, yeah. Don't discount Joycelyn Jepkosgei. Super talented runner, also really good at the sort of championship style racing as well, which is what we're going to see today. We're not going to see pacers today because it is a women's only world record, which means they cannot get the aid of male pacers. But they're going out at that 67:30 pace. We should note that the course record is held by Paula Radcliffe, Dame Paula Radcliffe, I believe.
From 2003.
Hey.
I think it's time.
Yeah, 2:15.25. It was the world record. I have to admit, when she set that world record in 2003, I did not think it would ever be broken. And wow, we live in a different world now.
We do.
So the course record very well may go down today. Definitely, they've got the racers to do it. Okay,
and
and they have started.
And
They've started
off.
the race.
The women are off.
We're about 30 seconds into the women's race. It started at 9:05 local time here. The men will go off at 9:35, so there's a half an hour gap in order to spotlight the women's race and also create a gap so that these top women come through the finish line on their own, and there's no messiness with men's runners and top level sub elites sort of getting in the way. So be really interesting to see what that first opening kilometer and then mile split, what they are. We should anticipate around that 67:30. We'll get you the numbers in a second here. We'll be on pace for that first half.
A few questions about the splits. The TCS London Marathon app is the place to go if you want to see live kilometer by kilometer, should I say, or at the very least 5 kilometer by 5 kilometer splits of the men and the women. So that's how we'll update you. And if you want to follow the splits at home, check out the TCS app. This is funny. Should we go break down a little bit who's in the field? But 1 minute into the race, that pro field has splintered off into 3 distinct groups. That's
already
kind of odd.
Yeah.
Like immediately. Let's talk about, obviously in that front group, you're going to get, I think the main threat here to break the course record and to run sub 2:15 today is the defending champion Tocci of Ethiopia.
Yep.
She has a personal best of 2:11, 53 from Berlin in 2023. I mean, discounting Ruth Jepten-Gedich's world record, which we can all say now we're pretty confident was tainted by doping. I would say Tocci is probably overall the most accomplished and talented runner running at the peak of her powers right now.
And I think I mentioned this when we did our pre-pod, but I think what I'm most excited about today in the women's race is to see what Hellen Obiri is going to do. Because we spoke about that she runs the hard courses. We've seen her win Boston. We've seen her win New York. She always has the head-to-head with Sharon Lokedi, who is also an amazing runner on the tough courses. We have yet to see Hellen Obiri run a very fast, flat course. And we don't know what she's going to do today. We don't know if she's going to pull an extremely fast time out of her hat and just also have an incredible talent to run fast, flat races. So this is going to be, to me, this is one of the biggest storylines today, to see what she's going to do in this race.
Yeah. And the elephant in the room is that there are 6 minutes between Asefa and Obiri's personal bests. And so I got to say I was a little bit surprised by the strategy by Asefa to take that first half in 67:30. She could have chose to go faster, say split a first half in 66 minutes and scare the crap out of poor Obiri, who's never run a 66 half inside of a marathon. And so, but that's not what's happening. I do think it's going to be a 3-horse race. Obiri, the racer, Asefa with the times. I would say that Jepkosgei is the veteran of the field here in London. So she's run this race 4 times in the last 5 years. She won it in 2021, second in 2022, third in 24, and then second again last year. And most recently, she dropped at 2:14 in Valencia.
Yep.
Yeah, flat, 0-0. And so I don't think we could count her out. She's a fast runner. She's got one of the fastest half marathons in the world. There was a period of time a few years ago where she Usain Bolted the women's half marathon record. Just kept dropping like seconds off the record. She closed it off in a 64:13. So she's got serious speed. I think Obiri and Asefa have been the headlines. I think Jepkosgei is the massive dark horse.
Yeah, so they're off. They're about 5 minutes in. We'll grab a split in a second here. We'll see if we can fish out the first 1K split so we get a good barometer of at least how they started. Although we should say, as we noted before, this course, deceptive in the first 5K. It's quite a generous first 5 kilometers. There's quite a significant downhill, all things considered. Relatively flat course overall, though. Definitely a world record eligible, a course where you can see a world record. As we noted, the women's world record for many years stood, and it was a London world record by Paula Radcliffe. And until actually Tigges Asefa broke it in 2023 in Berlin. But we've seen women's only world records in Berlin in the last few years. It's the stage for the women's only world record. London has committed to that strategy to have a women's only race where there's no male pacers at the front, and then a men's race where, at this stage in the game, you basically are only going to get pacers for the first 21K because otherwise you'd have to get the best runners in the world to pace you if you wanted to go any farther than that. We'll talk about
the
men's
pacers
race.
may win the race.
We'll talk about the men's race in a few minutes here. It goes off at 9:35. We should say right now, the wheelchair race is about 21 minutes in right now, just right after 21 minutes. So if you want a time stamp and you're trying to do the live watch-along second screen thing with the broadcast, with the live stream of the race itself, we're at we got 21, 13, 14, 15 on the clock right now if you want to sync that. So usually it's about 20 to 30 seconds. YouTube is off.
Looks like London has showed up to cheer. I think the wheelchair athletes are roughly almost 10K into the race, and the course is lined with people. So that's a good omen for the athletes who are starting.
One thing we should talk about that it will certainly get a great deal of attention on the BBC broadcast, at least, and certainly if FlowTrack is pulling the BBC broadcast in as its feed as well, you're going to see cameras on the top British athletes. Yep. This is a race that it really is. It feels like a big little city when you come to London for the marathon, because there's a deep focus on the top British athletes, men and women. We attended the press conferences and spoke with the top women and the top men from the UK. Really interesting conversations. Actually, I'm excited to talk about the men's race, talk about Patrick Devers and some of the inside info he gave us about pacing Chicago and pacing Jacob Kiplimo last fall, which I was not aware of previously, and that was an interesting little tidbit. We'll get to that in a second. But you talked to Eilish McCougan.
Yeah.
You pronounced the name correctly, Everyone else in the press conference was calling her Eilish.
That's wrong. I was the one mispronouncing it. Eilish McColgan is what I said.
Yeah,
Eilish is
it's
the name.
Eilish,
I have a
yes.
friend Eilish who goes by Eilish, and so anyway, it's not that Eilish and I don't know each other. We met at a really weird place.
I knew that was going to come.
I've followed Eilish McColgan's career for a long time. She's a 4-time Olympian, super accomplished on the track, the 5,000 and the 10,000 meters. Mostly a track runner, so you could imagine my surprise when I did this random race. And shout out to James McCurdy and the McCurdy Micro Race Series in New York. It's a race put up to make people run fast. And there's someone in the field as well, Julia Paternane, that we should mention later on, who used that race to get to the World Championship and
That's
eventually
right.
win a bronze medal. So it is a consequential event, but to run the 10K at that event was pretty random. I showed up to the start line. It was me and 17 locals, and then one tall, fast-looking A6 athlete shows up on the line. I'm thinking, this looks a lot like 5 and 10,000 meter Olympian Eilish McColgan, but it can't be. What would she be doing here? Sure enough, it was. We left, and she was running next to me. I thought, what is going on? After the race, I talked to her. I said, what are you doing here? She was starting her road racing career. She was using this race as a tune-up for her first ever marathon. She did London last year. In London 2025, she ran a 2:24. I'm not sure if she was happy with that. I didn't ask her that question. I think there was probably more in the tank. I'm guessing that
I
today
would
she's
say
going
so.
to go for something faster. An athlete with that type of speed, I think, has got more than a 2:24. And so I'm curious to see what her strategy is going to be here today.
She's got a national Scottish record because she is Scottish, of course. The British record, I think, would probably be out of reach. That's the 2:15.25 from Paula Radcliffe. But McColgan is an interesting character. She's getting a fleet of pacers here. We just saw her. It's almost as if we timed this on. If you're watching the live stream as well, they gave her a good amount of TV time a second ago, and she's got, I think it was 4. I counted, I think 4 pacers. It'll be interesting to see what her first half split is. We'll make sure we check in with her and other British athletes and other top athletes in the field.
Do you think she's got a 220 in her?
I mean, she's got 220 talent for sure.
That's what
Yeah,
I was thinking
yeah.
as well. I wonder
And
if she'll
imagine,
get around there
I would
today.
imagine that's like her thinking.
That's the plan
right?
today. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so as well.
So we're about 20 minutes away from the men's start, and we'll pull. Do you have some splits from the women's race? Do you have a?
So it looks
Not
like
yet.
the TCS app is going by 5 kilometers.
okay, so we'll get a 5K split, and
unless
actually
one of the
quite
women is
soon.
running an 11-minute 5K, we got nothing yet.
We'll get one quite soon, though. We'll make
will.
sure we update you with the 5K split. Again, it will not be indicative overall. I would anticipate it being faster than that 2:15 pace that they're going out at. They're going out at 2:15 flat pace. The lead group.
Take advantage of the first downhill, I'm sure.
That's right. So let's talk a little bit about the men. So let's first of all, with Boston last week. And the phenomenal performance by John Career. He ran 2:01.52, which I don't think anyone anticipated.
No.
I think you look at Boston, historically a very difficult course, although a net downhill, first 25K is downhill, theoretically can be run very quickly. John Career made that theory into reality. He runs the 5th fastest time in history last Monday in Boston. Now carryover this week, Alex and I went to the men's elite press conference. We picked Sebastian Sawe and Jacob Kiplimo's brains about how they felt about watching Boston, whether they watched the race as well. And I would say right now, with John Career having the top time, and then we've got Sebastian Sawe, who I think is the best marathon runner in the world right now.
Agreed.
And then we got Jacob Kiplimo, who I think has the most tantalizing talent of all three. We have officially a big 3 in marathon running. Guys, like 1 year ago, I was in a state of I went and I got my PhD in Kipchogeology. I'm a Kipchogeologist.
How's that holding up for you?
It's I'm emeritus right now. I'm going to retire from the university, and I was in a state of panic in the aftermath of Paris, and then last year we saw the apex of Mr. Kipchoge's career had been eclipsed, and it kind of felt like an uncertain future for men's marathon running. But here we go. We're like a year later. We have inarguably 3 incredible marathon runners at the peak of their power, and we've got 2 of them going head to head today.
Yeah. So if we can compare Sawe to Kiplimo, because I think these are the 2 big dogs today. There are a lot of dark horses, and we will get there. But the Sawe versus Kiplimo narrative is interesting because they're 2 different athletes. Like you said, Kiplimo is potential. He's got the best resume pre-marathon. Yeah. I don't care what anyone says. He ran a 56:47 in Barcelona. The time didn't stand. It was a world record that eventually didn't get ratified because some judge somewhere in world athletics claimed that he was running too close to the pace car. I've never heard of that as an excuse.
No.
Maybe there's something else going on there. I don't know. But either way, he ran the time. If you can drop a 56:47, you can challenge that 2-hour barrier in the marathon.
Absolutely.
That's not heard of. Sebastian Sawe does not have Kiplimo's credentials on the track or even in the half marathon. What Sawe has is incredible consistency. So,
and an impeccable record.
well, he's kind of been the infallible guy, right? Like he's only won marathons.
Yep.
Last fall, it almost seemed as though he was set up to fail at the Berlin Marathon, which was super hot.
Yep.
He was the one who looked the best out of everyone, still ran a 2:02. It was somewhat regarded as maybe the best marathoning performance of the year, given how tough the weather was on everyone else.
Right.
He came into the race with a pretty good story, too. He and his sponsor, Adidas, partnered up to drug test him more than any other athlete in the field, realistically. And by the time he got to the start line, he was like, well, look, I've been tested almost 100 times since July.
Yeah, he said that ahead of Berlin, he had been tested 25. He submitted 25 unannounced out of competition drug tests funded by Adidas because he just wants to be absolutely sure that everyone knows that he's a clean athlete.
And I asked him about that.
Yeah.
So was that your decision? Was that Adidas? Said we came up with it together.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of flack around Kenya and doping in Kenya, and I wanted to show people in the country and young people coming up that you can do it clean. So pretty commendable thing to do,
Absolutely.
right? I asked him this time, did you also go through this rigorous doping test? He's like, not this time, but I'm still getting doped.
Yeah, he's like, it was getting a little. The needles were getting a little tiring.
He's down to the 8 to 10.
To be fair, like, would you want to get drug tested every day?
No, I would not want to get stuck every other day. No,
So
thank you.
To go through that impeccable resume, okay, Sawe, he's 30 years old. He just turned 30
Just
in
a
March.
kid.
He's just a kid. He's run 3 marathons. He's won all 3 of those marathons back to back to back. Valencia 2024, 202.05. That's his personal best. His fastest debut in history. London Marathon the following April, last April, a year ago. This weekend, 202.27. Wins against a very, very deep field and made a decisive move at about 20 miles. So keep an eye out for the bottle station at 20 miles because that is where he absolutely flattened the field last year, including Jacob Kiplimo, who was running his debut.
He won't get away with it again. I don't think. They're going to be paying attention.
I think Kiplimo will be checking him much more closely this time around. And then last September, as you mentioned, the Berlin Marathon, he wins it in 2:02.16, which I would argue is one of the great performances in marathon history, given the conditions, given how stonking hot and humid it was.
Right.
I think the vast majority of athletes would have just absolutely crumbled in the second half of that race, and he was very resistant to the heat. It was quite impressive, actually.
So before we get into the other men, let me chime in here with our very first women's split. So we have 4 athletes breaking away in a lead pack. Your 3 suspects, Esefa Obiri Jepkoskai. Joining them is a Catherine Reline Amanangol. So, to be honest, it's the first time I say that name. Amanangol is a dark horse, I'd say. She's got a personal best of 2:20 coming in. She's a rising talent from Kenya. She was a bronze medalist at the World Half Marathoning Championship.
Interesting, okay.
A shorter resume than the rest of these athletes. But hey, it's a
name
group of
that
4.
we will have to practice as we watch this because she was not somebody that was on the bingo card going in. But this is one of the wonderful features of marathon running and of world marathon majors in particular, to get a young athlete who has been doing a ton of training, maybe training with a bigger group, maybe training with some of the top athletes in the world, who feels fit and ready. we've seen that recently this year. We've seen a 2:10 this year from a relative unknown. So who knows what could happen today? We could have a total surprise winner.
And that second group is just about 10 seconds behind until we get to the third group. This is what we spoke about in the opening moments of the race, and with some of the other athletes, and they're about a minute behind. Eilish McColgan is about a minute behind the lead pack already.
I mean,
in 16:31.
That's pretty impressive. That's a good opening 5K for McColgan, because just to be a minute back from that group that's going after a sub 2:15 is so she's moving pretty.
They're
quickly.
doing well.
I'd say that McColgan's group is a bit more true to pace. They're at 2:19 marathon pace for the full race. Now remember, it's very early and the start is downhill. But if they can keep something like that, I think that'd be a great day for McColgan. The leaders 2:12 pace, so that could also stand to slow down. If they run like they said they would at the technical meeting, aiming for a 2:15, remember, maybe they've just completely thrown that in the garbage can and are going for it. So
No. This is what happens in London. The first 5K are super deceptive. You see incredibly fast split, easily going to be way the fastest split in the race. So let's not overreact to that. I wouldn't be shocked to see a 1:56 pace first 5K on the men's side at 1:56, 1:57. Remember, in Chicago last fall, John Career, Jacob Kiplimo, who's in this London race, they went out in 1:56 pace in the first 5K, and that's a much flatter, less generous start to a marathon. So, just want to go back here for a second to Sawe before we pivot to our next. Before we talk about Kiplimo, because we've got about 10 minutes before the men's race starts here. So, just putting up here on the screen, the good people at Morton sent us some really interesting data in the last couple of days, which we got on the website. We've got a story breaking this all down. So Morton works really closely with Sawe, and they do a lot of testing of how he's performing, how he's reacting to the training. And so this is a really interesting bit of data here. Basically, they analyzed one of his peak, or I guess his peak long run, a 30K long run. It's incredibly intense, really fast time. And they cross-analyzed it with his data from the previous year, the previous build into Berlin, where he ran that 2:02. And he's over a minute ahead of schedule in terms of his performance. So I would say
wow.
I would say Sawe's looking pretty fit.
Yeah, average heart rate for running 3-minute kilometers for an hour and a half, 1:54. So for the data nerds at home,
he's in pretty good shape.
Let's all feel bad about ourselves.
I'd say so.
Yeah.
So that's our number one suspect, Sebastian Sawe. Jacob Kiplimo is, I still think, maybe the most likely athlete to break 2 hours in the marathon. Here's what it is. I think if we have a tactical race, Sawe emerges victorious. I think if there's one athlete who stands a chance at breaking the field early and holding on, it's Kiplimo, because he just has that level of speed that no one else has. So I talked to him at the press conference. He's likely going to wear that new Nike shoe, the Alpha Fly 4. They haven't called it that, but we're guessing that that's what it's going to be. In Chicago 2025 is when he really broke through as a marathoner, ran 2:02:23 in a quite positive split, I will say. They went out very, very hard. There's a reason for that. We'll get into that. But he closed off 2:02:23 in the Alpha Fly 3 still. The feeling that if he just tweaked a few things, there would be a lot faster in the tank. So that's your Kiplimo. 27:20. He had to forego the half marathon record because of that incident with World Athletics. His 56:47 no longer stood. Had to relinquish the record to Yomif Kejelcha, who's someone else in the field we're going to talk about in a bit.
Who is also going to run today. His debut, correct?
He is indeed. We'll get to him in a second.
2 big debuts.
I should say, yeah. So this is marathon number 3 for Kiplimo. He is quite young still. He's only 25 years old. He's He's a November baby.
Wow.
So he's what does
Okay.
that make him? That makes him a
I don't know.
what's his sign?
Sagittarius?
I'm
just throwing
he's the
shit at the
same.
wall
He's
right
the
now.
same sign as my wife. He's a
You should know this, Michael.
Virgo. It's a moody one.
Capricorn.
No, we're just throwing out
Taurus?
someone in the chat's going to be like, "You fools!" It's blah blah blah. Anyway, I'm not a big signs guy, but
I think it's Sagittarius.
there we go. Okay.
I don't know.
Hey, that's what I said.
Yeah.
So he has run He's run 2 marathons now. This is his second London. His debut last year, I would say in the end, the overall snapshot I have and the memory I have of his debut in London a year ago is that he rallied really well. So he was in that lead group. It was a large lead group. It was kind of the Kipchoge swan song, that race, in many respects. And there was a large lead group, and then Sawe made the devastating move at that out of the bottle station, kind of a sneaky one, right? Like you go into the bottle station. We've talked about this in the Boston live watch along. There's like 2 types of marathon runner. There's the slow down through the bottle station runner, and then there's the surge out of the bottle station runner. And some elite athletes use the bottles as a tactical advantage, because every one of these elite athletes now is super dependent on their bottles because of their carb loading strategy, their in-race carb loading strategy of taking on crazy number of carbs per hour.
Right.
Like we saw last week in Boston, Jess McLean, the American, drops a bottle. What does she do? She stops and goes back
Right.
to get it.
She had to go get that
That's how
bottle.
important that
That's
is.
how
Yep.
important these bottles are. So Kiplimo used the bottle stations to his advantage last April, and Sawe rather used them. And Kiplimo was the only one who was really able to respond to that surge and kind of spent the next 10K trying to chase him down to no avail. 2:03:37 was his debut. I think we expected, I don't know what we expected from Kiplimo. We expected him to like fold the space-time continuum in his debut because of that half time. But that was a decent debut, if not a bit modest. And then Chicago, again, in Chicago, 2:02:23, really unevenly paced race, really wild ride that race was. We were there covering that one as well. He faded quite a bit, I'd say, in the last 5 to 7 kilometers. It was looking like the wheels were coming off pretty hard, but that's maybe because they were running sub 2 hour pace in the first half.
That'll do it.
So this third race, I imagine he's looking for a more evenly paced attack, which they should get with their pacers this morning. Their race is starting in about 4 minutes.
We got a little bit of insight on how they want to run this race. So at the press conference on Friday morning, I asked Sebastian Sawe, how fast will you ask people to go at the technical meeting this afternoon when you decide on a half pace? He said 60 high, so presuming 60-50. Later on in the day, press release came out. The crew had chosen 60-30. So you know what that tells me? If Sawe didn't change his mind, I bet you he went into the press conference and suggested 60 high. Kiplimo came in and said, I want a 60 flat, and they compromised in the middle.
They went right in the
even
middle.
as competitors, it's easier to work together for the first half of the race, and then you go.
Absolutely.
So
agreed.
this is speculating. That second part, I have no intel. This is just extrapolating. But I wonder if Kiplimo's coming in very fit and looking to actually run on that 2 hour
Well, he's
mark.
clearly coming in very fit because he broke the world record for the second, unofficially the second time in a year, officially the first time, because it's a very weird situation. I mean, it's like World Athletics doesn't know how to get out of its own way. It's like with the women's marathon world record, we have a doper with the world record, and we're not going to get rid of that time. Okay, sure. And then in the men's half marathon world record, Kiplimo actually has run a faster time, but they don't count that time because of a technicality, which is
because
a bit
he was
silly
too
to
close
me.
to a car.
He was
Which
too
don't
close
you
to
think
a car,
that
which is
during that
silly.
race they needed to mention that to him to back off a little
don't
if
know
that was
whose
going to
fault
be a
that is.
problem?
Yeah.
It seems a little strange.
If we had a little bit more journalism in this sport, we would actually know the ins and the outs
What
of
happened.
what actually happened
Yeah,
there.
it would be
There
great.
you go. I mean, maybe I should criticize myself because I should maybe make a few phone calls and find out why that actually played out the way it did. We've got a card here. We're going to put up on the screen here. This is the splits from Sawe's Berlin, Courier's Boston this year, and then Kiplimo's Chicago. So it's the 5K splits and the half split of each of their races. So you can see how each of them approached these 3 marathons. I would say, in their own way, 3 very comparable races. Of those 3 races, I would say the strongest is probably Career's performance, although it's the most conditions aided performance. I would say the most like overall shocking performance was Sawe in that heat. But you can see in all of these cases, all 3 of them have flirted with the sub 2 hour barrier for big stretches in their respective marathons. So very curious to see what we see for not just the opening 5K, which is going to be very fast, but also all the way through halfway. And the big tell will be if they can hit the 25 and the 30K mark and still maintain something in the neighborhood of 2 hours and 35 seconds as the target time, because that is the world record set by Kelvin Kiptum in 2023.
Is it too early to give our dark horse their flowers? Now, we'll talk a bit about the British race too, because we have a few interesting characters, but there's a chance that today is not about Kiplimo versus Sawe. There's a chance that we have some party poopers.
Party poopers. I don't think they would consider themselves party poopers.
Well, I wouldn't imagine. They're
Just
here
to
for something
Sawe's
else.
party.
I think
Sawe
probably you want to
Kiplimo's
say
party.
party crashers.
Party crashers,
Yes.
and then maybe story makers. Yomif Kajelcha, Hagos Geberhiwet, 2 of the very best runners to ever come out of Ethiopia, both incredibly accomplished on the track. Geberhiwet he's my age. He's 31 years old. He's been around forever. He broke onto the scene at 19 years old, just right there became one of the very fastest runners on the track. Yomif Kajelcha has proven himself to be one of the very top half marathoners. So he and Kiplimo actually are wrestling this half marathon record back and forth. He's run well into the 57s. And the only knock that either of them has on their resume right now is neither's run a marathon. It's their debut.
So we should say that Mo Farah is co-starting this race here. Nice touch, Mo
Very
Farah.
nice.
Yes.
He ran the London Marathon a couple of times at the very end of his career, and I think wasn't quite the marathon runner we were hoping he'd be, but I believe he's a 205 guy. I think is what he ended
which
up
is
with.
so dominant on the track.
Yeah.
Right.
He was like unbeatable on the track for a good 5-6 year stretch. So the men's race is now officially off. That's at 9:35 local time here in London. We got to see on screen. We got to see Sawe. He's in the pink Adidas singlet. We got to see Kajelcha, who we were just talking about a second ago. We got to see Tamarat Tola, the Olympic. I can't believe
We haven't even mentioned
burying
him yet.
the Olympic marathon champion Tamarat Tola, who's an incredible performer, a 203 guy. He's lost in the mix here because I guess we assume that he can't run 2 hours flat, but we're going to find out. He's definitely going to give it a go. That's for sure. I can't imagine Tamarat Tola will not be in the lead group. So we're going to see within, I'd say, a kilometer very, very quickly, we're going to see a lead group established, and they're going to start to pull away very quick.
It's a very different scene to see the men's elite start, because when we saw the women's elite start, it was just the elite women's field who came out. Now we've got the men's elite start, but also with wave 1. So it's just this huge mass of runners coming out of the start at the same time.
So if you want to sync along with us and you're watching the live stream on FlowTrack or on the BBC, we're at 110, 111, 112, 113, 114 in the men's race right now. So we've got in the men's race, there is a group of pacers in this race. Unlike the women's race, there are a group of pacers for each of the pace groups for the elite athletes. They are handily wearing these vests that are pink with a yellow stripe across. So it's very easy to define who they are. So if you're watching along the race at home while listening or watching us, just keep in mind that the pink and yellow vests, those are pacers. If you're having a tough time reading, usually they have the bib says pacer on it. But the pacers are there. They'll hang out for, I think we're going to get probably 21K out of them and nothing more.
Yeah.
Just about half.
This is the challenge of men's marathon running today is keeping around a 2 hour pace. You're getting the best half marathon runners in the world to pace things out.
And they're not just anyone. Kiplimo chose his own brother to pace him, Oscar Chilimo. So I mean, who else to trust but your own family member, right? To take you through half marathon in 60-30.
Would you trust your family member to pace you through your debut marathon?
I love you, Miriam, but I don't know, man.
Yeah.
So Andrea Kiptu on the other side of things, Sebastian Sawe's pacer. So each of the top dogs has their own dedicated pacer. They'll tend to run in a pack.
It'll be really interesting to see what the two pacers who are aligned with those two top athletes do if one of those athletes has any struggles, whether they are told to fall back and stick with their guy, or they just go with the, because
they'd stick with their guy, wouldn't they?
Conventionally, the design of a lead pace group conventionally has been run the time, and that's your job.
Okay.
And of course, if no one's able to keep up with you and everyone's having a bad day, fall back a bit and run with the leaders, but run the time. That's your job, is to be there to pace out that number.
So if they fall off, they fall off.
Yeah. So I'm very curious to see if hopefully neither Sawe or Kiplimo struggle in the opening half of this race. But if one were to, whether their guy falls back with them to try to bring them back up, or if they just stick with that lead pacing job.
And there will be a chase pack that's not that far back. So just behind our 60-30 or 201 planned group of two, there may be a pretty deep pack. And so we should talk about a few of the other men who are in this field, because this is a star-studded field. So we haven't even mentioned Tamirat Tola, who is the 2024 Olympic champion. Didn't make Team Ethiopia for the
That's
2024
right, I forgot
Olympics.
about that.
One of their top athletes dropped. They put Tola on the team, went to the Olympics, and won the whole thing. So he's there. He's got the Olympic record, too. He ran 2:06 at the Olympics, which is just really hard to do. Usually these races are super hot. He's in the field. Joshua Cheptegei, Jacob Kiplimo's Ugandan compatriot.
That's right.
5,000 meter and 10,000 meter record holder. So during the pandemic days, Joshua Cheptegei was maybe the most popular and known runner in the world. He was just breaking track records. I remember him using that light technology, wave light technology around the track, where he would follow lights that would shine and move at world record pace.
That's right.
And all he had to do was chase the lights, and routinely he'd break records. At the time, Kiplimo was his young teammate who was seen as a bit of the next one. Now, Cheptegei moved up to the marathon a few years ago and kind of did the Mo Farah, like huge track star coming to the marathon, running a slightly underwhelming time for a runner of his ability level. Was in the 208s, has since cut his time down to 204.52, and it almost seems as though he's just slowly adding himself to the conversation. Though today, it sounds like he's going to be in that chase group that's going out at around 203.30. Someone else I think we should watch, Aminal Petros.
Yeah.
Yes.
German athlete,
Yep.
huge gamer. He was like, 2 microseconds? What do you even call that? Like thousandths of a second away from winning the world championship in Tokyo last year, sprinting down the track. Seemed like it was going to be his race to win. Alphonse Felix Simbu of Kenya seemingly came out of nowhere, stole the gold. Petros still claimed second place. We talked to Petros at the press conference, and I asked him, do you feel ready? He says yes. He's since run a 204. He's looking to run in the 203s. He wants to break the European record.
That's right.
And he told me he's fit. Listen to this workout. This was his biggest preparatory workout. Wake up. 5 times 5 kilometers, 1440 per 5K. Okay, 1440 per 5K. That's the morning session. Take a break, come back. 10K at 3:30 pace. So just drop a casual 35-minute 10K. That's the afternoon warm-up. After that, 10 by a K at 255. All in one day, total mileage, 55 kilometers.
Yeah.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
He's coached by the great and mysterious Renato Canova, who is famous for doing lots of volume, lots of
pretty
intensity.
intense.
One of the true modernizers of how marathon running is done at the elite level today.
I'm going to come in and give you guys a women's update. Okay.
Yes,
so
please.
we have the 10K split. So we still have the top 4, the same top 4, and they have gone through the 10K in 31:03. So they are still on a very quick pace for a 2:10 marathon right now at 2:10:08. So they've gone through 10K at a 2:10:08 pace.
So they've not backed off really.
They
so
have
that's
not.
That second 5 to 10K split,
Yeah.
Wow.
which is more definitional of what we're going to see at least until about 30K. Still pretty spicy.
Yeah. And we've got the
2:10.
chase group,
Wow.
just still the two ladies behind them at 31:44. So they're about 40 seconds behind. And then the third group about a minute and 20 seconds behind. So we still have those very three clear different groups out there, 1, 2, and 3.
We should note by contrast, it's very early days in the men's
Course.
race, but by contrast, there was a larger group than I had anticipated in the opening kilometer of this race. There's a group of maybe about 8 or 10 guys along with the pacers. So really surprising to see how many athletes, at least in the beginning, are going for it. Either that or that just signifies that perhaps Sawe, Kiplimo and company are not going out as aggressively as we'd anticipated. We'll get a 5K split as soon as that pops up. We should talk a little bit. Before we talk about, I want to talk about shoes. Of course, we want to talk about
Obviously.
shoes. Shoes
The
are
comments
such a big-
are asking for it, so
Yep.
yes,
Yeah,
we
we'll
must
get
talk
Okay.
to
about
shoes in a
shoes.
second. We've got a shoe segment here. I've got a bunch of things cooked up, graphics cooked up about the shoes because there's a lot to talk about here with shoes.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, we should say I noted Alex Cyr, the Olympic gold medalist in triathlon who has pivoted to the marathon. He was supposed to pace Emile Caresse, who is the top British athlete who had to drop out due to
It's
injury.
one of my favorites.
But Alex Cyr is actually in the mix pacing, and he's pacing Patrick Devers and company and Phil Sisselman. And that's neat to see. It's neat to see that he's pacing that group. It's too bad that Alex Cyr's not in the mix because sort of suddenly becoming a guy in the UK is like maybe one of the top marathon runners in the United Kingdom. So neat to see Alex Cyr out there pacing.
Yeah, and I think the group of British men might have felt a bit of a warning shot from Boston last week as Sessamon, Yee, Dever are somewhat of the equivalents of the American cohort, Clayton Young, Rory Linkletter, many of these athletes who've run in the 206, 207s, 208s. And Boston...
Connor Mance, of course.
Connor's
Connor's injured.
So here's the
but-
thing. I would put Connor Mance a cut above the rest of these other
Agreed.
athletes. He had run a 204, which before last week seemed unattainable for a lot of these
I
runners.
don't know. Like now with these guys that ran in Boston, you've got a whole bunch of new names on the American side. And suddenly you've got 6, 7 guys that are very intriguing in terms of top level American runners. Connor Mance, yes, is definitely still one step above those guys, but the rest of them are not far behind. And I would like to note, I want to flag something. We'll just blame it on jet lag and fatigue, but you called Rory Linkletter American. He is Canadian.
Oh, God.
He's Canadian American. He has American citizenship now, and he lives in the U.S.
well.
They might not let me
But
back
he
into
is
the
Canadian,
country.
so we have to make sure to
Uh-oh.
let
Guys,
him
take
represent.
a peek. Take a peek up at the women's race with the 3. You have the 3 pacemakers out front, but now it looks like the group is 3,
Yeah, so we should note.
and then there were 3.
We should note there are 2 pacemakers at the front. Again, the pink and yellow vests. They will curious to see how far they go.
Yep.
It's a scenario that's been really challenging when you're doing a women's only race. London's had this issue in the past where they host a women's only race and which is incredible, but it's tough to find pacers that are going to hang in there. It's actually the same problem the men now have as well, where it's
Right.
like if you have the top runners in the world running at their absolute apex, going for world records, who do you find to pace them for any length of time?
Right.
So,
And who's not going to run themselves? Because if
Exactly.
they're up there in running those times, they're going to want to race themselves.
So and I would say we'll probably see the 2 women pacers get through maybe halfway, maybe
Okay.
21K.
You're thinking
That
halfway?
would be really beneficial for the lead pack if they got through halfway.
Wouldn't 30 be ideal if possible?
I mean, it would be ideal, but imagine doing 30 kilometers at world record pace, right? And this is why I can't. But
I can't do that.
Yeah,
much.
can you imagine that?
no,
Can
no,
you
I can't imagine.
How well can you imagine
1
that?
kilometer at the women's world record pace is pretty killer. So
Yeah, 67:30 is supposed to be the halfway mark for these women, but given that first 10K, that might be out the window.
what's 67:30 pace? What's per kilometer pace for 67:30? Do you know off the top of your head? It's 3.
It's about, what, 3:15?
3:15. Yeah, right around there. And they're running faster than that right now.
Yeah.
So we should say as an update, they're running faster than the women's only world record pace. They're running 2:10
pace.
And
My
just
goodness.
as an update, McColgan, she is right on pace for the 2:20
Oh, good.
as
to
of
hear.
right now. Yeah. So
she'll-
we'll keep an eye on that as well.
Eilish McColgan versus Rose Harvey is starting to be an early conversation for who is going to be the top British runner in this race. So Rose Harvey coming in with the personal best of 2:23:21, set in Chicago 2023. So she's got a slightly faster personal best than McColgan, though not as accomplished on the track. So I'm not sure how this will play out. I think the race for top British athlete is somewhat wide open, at least on the women's side. Same deal with the men's side between Patrick Dever and Phil Sessamon. I'm not really sure who I choose. Patrick Dever is pretty confident. We asked him, who do you think is going to win the London Marathon? He says, well, me, of course.
And then he laughed.
I
Yeah.
love it.
You know, Patrick Dever, funny little side story of Dever. You recognized him as one of the pacers of the Chicago Marathon, the famous one that went out super hard, that got Kaplimo and everyone else hurting in that second part, where
That's
Kaplimo
right.
just hung on a bit better than everybody else and then took the win. And you asked him the question, right? So what was it like pacing this race? Like, were the instructions to run the first half that much? And Dever just like kind of looked down at his shoes and was like, yeah, not really. I think it was kind of my fault. I went a bit harder than I should have. So like, I
Kind
don't
of a little
know.
excited.
I don't know if he like admitted to completely sabotaging the Chicago Marathon race.
Sounds like it.
In fairness to him, he was like, you're running with the fastest runners in the world. They want to go out close to world record pace. You're really excited. You only have to run halfway. And you feel these guys like breathing down your neck behind you. And they just keep sort of like
The pressure.
The intensity of it is
Yeah.
like, and they don't want to disappoint. Like a pacer doesn't want to disappoint and run them too slowly in the opening kilometers.
Of course.
So he sort of got out a little bit too quick. And I think John Career probably, if you remember in Chicago, John Career completely fell apart at about 20 miles and had to drop out and had, I think, serious stomach issues because the pace was too hard. So he's not, I don't think Patrick Devers is on John Career's Christmas card list.
No,
I don't think
definitely
so.
not.
I don't think so.
So-
we have the 5K split, Alex. You want to go? You want to go?
Okay, sure. I was
Go.
gonna say, that's crazy how fast this is.
Yes.
Like, I didn't realize the men were even 5K through. So we have 6 men
Yep.
in elite pack, 14 for 5K split. So that's like 2 flats,
Just a
0,
2-hour
2
pace. No big
2 hours flat. So
Yep.
someone in the comments said astutely, just remember that the first 5K is downhill.
Right.
So
Very
chances are the pace will cool from here.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yes.
it's quick. So yes, Sebastian Sawe, Jacob Kaplimo are in the pack. Amos Kipruto, Yomif Kajelcha, Deresa Galeta, and Tamirat Tola are the other 4
There you go.
leading. So that's kind of telling. I mean, it's very early in the race, but the fact that someone like Joshua Cheptegei, Amanal Petros, Hagos Gebrhiwet are not going with the lead pack says
That's
that
smart.
they have a strategy.
Yeah.
And
Right.
they do. The chase pack is going for a 2:03:30.
2:03:30.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds so conservative and relaxed compared to 2-hour pace.
they're on a 2:01:30 pace right now. Again, thinking about the
Quick.
downhill, but they're still
That
a little
second group's
fast. The second
2:01:30.
group is 2:01:30
Okay.
right now.
So
Petros
we should
and
note the women's race, which is well underway. We're just under 46 minutes into the women's race, pacing at around 5-ish, a little over 5-minute miles right now. The last few miles, we just got a 9th. The mile 9 split was 5:06 pace.
Oh, yeah.
So we have still have the two pacers in the mix, which is
Yep.
a good sign.
That is
which
a good
will be
sign.
really helpful for these women to get in and around that 2:15 flat or better. We should note 2:15:25 is the big number to pay attention to in the closing stages of this women's race. That is the course record, the former world record overall, set by Paula Radcliffe in 2003. Actually, kind of will be a sad day if we see a 2:14 today in some respects for Radcliffe fans because like
it's been a
it's like
dynasty.
kind of
I
like,
really
kind
love
of like I mean, it will still be. She still has the UK record, the national record,
Right.
But in terms of like the world stage, I mean, Paula Radcliffe, generational talent, also lovely human being. I've spent some time with her, and she's.
Oh.
I've taken an Uber with her.
Have you?
She paid.
Wow.
It's a weird story. I'll tell you guys about it afterwards.
Okay.
She sat in the middle seat. It was very strange.
Was the
Long
car
sto-
full?
It was.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm like hugged up next to Paula Radcliffe in the back of an Uber in New York. It was a very weird moment of my life. And yeah, so that will be sort of the end of an era if that
Of
215
course.
gets
Yeah.
equipped today.
Absolutely.
So we've got athletes going through a bottle station here. We should note it's the big three. It's the
Right.
big three in the women's race. We've got Asefa, we've got Obiri, we've got Jocelyn Jepkoskai as well.
You know what else we've got? A 15K split.
15K split.
Things have chilled out a little bit. So 2:13:39 pace. So they just got through 15K in 46:59. Helen Obiri, Asefa, and Jepkoskai. So well within, I think, their capabilities. I do wonder if Helen Obiri is a little nervous. Like, she's an incredibly accomplished marathoner.
Yes.
She's won several world majors, but she's never been where she is right now. She's never run a marathon faster than 2:17. So there is the speed element. Most marathons that she runs are on tougher courses than this. So yeah, chances are she will run a personal best today, but there's still the watch element of seeing something you've never seen before that can make you feel either great about yourself or kind of freaked out.
I wonder if she's uncertain. I wonder if she's uncertain or she's done a fitness test and she's coming into this knowing that she'll be able to stay with the lead pack. I would have loved to have spoken to her to hear her thoughts on it, but you know.
Before we pivot into talking about the men's race a little bit here, I should thank our presenting sponsor, Wahoo.
Yes.
The Kicker Run is quite simply a transformative innovation. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm excited to run on a treadmill with the Kicker Run. The treadmill has been something that's sort of like a necessary evil, I think, throughout a runner's life.
Yeah.
But in this case, the device is got something called the Run Free mode, which basically makes a treadmill feel like you're actually running on the ground. It's able to like oscillate a little bit to create like a ground feel as well. It can run a 4-minute mile. It can run as fast as I could possibly run on it for any amount of time. You've run 4-minute mile pace for longer than me.
For maybe a minute. Maybe a minute. I saw Katelyn rip it on the Wahoo not
That's
long
right.
ago.
You hit your fastest ever pace.
My fastest ever pace, a sub 3-minute kilometer
There you
pace.
go.
When
There you
I
go.
saw it go to 2 something, I was psyched. And
How
I just
long did
stayed
you hold
there.
on for?
Not very long.
It's a scary feeling.
It was
right?
very scary. Yeah, I thought I didn't.
Scary
want-
for you, scary
Yeah.
for me. I turned around. I was just in the splash zone of Katelyn running as
The
fast as she could.
splash zone.
So if she falls off this treadmill, I'm balling my way to the ground.
So we check out if you're very serious about running, and especially if you live in a cold climate where you face
Yes.
winter, as Alex and I do, or a very hot climate as you do,
Yeah,
Katelyn.
absolutely.
It's an incredible tool and like an absolute essential. We call it like the super shoe of treadmills, or the super shoe of like high end technology in the sport. I would say they had a couple of elite athletes at the event that we attended a couple of days ago, and the thinking is like this allows for uninterrupted training. So
Yeah.
Absolutely. I even have a bunch of athletes that are in Houston, just in the south of the U.S. And
it's
they're
hot,
like, it's
humid.
almost treadmill time.
Yeah.
They're
Let's
telling me
talk
this
about
at the end of
treadmill time.
April. It's
Sure.
almost time to
You
train
live
on the
in
treadmill.
Texas, Florida,
Imagine.
Arizona.
Yeah.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere. It's training. It's treadmill time
Time
somewhere.
It's
as
humid.
well.
It's
Time.
hot. Yeah. People
Let's-
are ready to go indoors.
Should we talk shoes?
Let's
Oh,
talk
we
shoes.
haven't even.
I feel there's a
shoes
bit
yet.
of a lull in the elite men and women's.
I've been waiting.
Okay, so let's first talk about the big drop here in London. It was teased in Boston, and now it's made official in London. The Adidas Adios Pro Evo 3. So the third iteration of, we keep calling it a hyper shoe. It's got to stick one of these days. If we keep saying it, people will adopt it. So basically a bleeding edge tech super shoe that Adidas has developed. This is arguably the shoe to beat. It's on Sebastian Sawe's feet today. I'm curious to see if it's on Tamara Tola's feet. He's an Adidas athlete as well. But Sebastian Sawe is getting to take these babies out for their very first legit run. We've not seen them in the wild
Maiden
previously.
voyage.
Yeah, so this is a big jump at this shoe. I'm really curious to see how other brands respond to it. It's extremely light. I think it's now the lightest super shoe in the game, if I'm not mistaken.
It is, yeah, by far. And Yomif Kajelcha will also be wearing them. So you'll have at least 2 pairs in that lead group.
That's right. He told us that he's wearing them too. So I think the Pro Evo 2, which Sawe won both London and Berlin in last year, was a minor update in the grand scheme of things. This shoe sort of looks like a more major wholesale update for Adidas. Basically, it's like the shoe wars continue. They're pushing the envelope even further by making it even lighter. Stack height's 39 millimeters, super powerful. One of the big things that Adidas did was they like retuned the midsole and they changed the drop ratio, which was interesting. And the thinking behind that isn't so much like what an athlete likes or wants in terms of a drop ratio. It's more like, let's make the drop ratio less so we can stuff more supercritical foam in the forefoot for more power. And I think that was the unlock for the 2, and the 3 is just basically like a full realization of all this.
Yeah, I think that's the general theme of shoes these days, is trying to put more foam underfoot in some way, and in a way to not exceed that 40 millimeter stack height maximum set by World Athletics. Brooks is doing the same thing with their Hyperion Elite 6. It's trying to stack a bit more foam, then taking that foam, making it lighter to not add weight. So a lot of innovation. The Pro Evo 3 is, way lighter than anything we've seen. I'm guessing that these athletes will have the advantage on their feet. We've mentioned earlier, Nike athletes will likely be wearing Nike's new prototype, the Alpha Fly 4. They're probably going to call. I don't think it's any bit as light. I think it's probably twice. We don't know the official weight of the Alpha Fly 4, but I'm going to guess that it's twice the weight of the Evo 3. Because
the AF4, I think, is, whereas the Evo 3 is a big jump and a huge cut in weight and kind of like a full crystalline form of what Adidas is trying to do with super shoes. I think then the Alpha Fly 4, by contrast, feels like the minor update. It feels like kind of tweaking the edges of what made the Alpha Fly 3 great. My guess would be it's cutting a little bit of weight, and I believe the forefoot is going to be a little bit wider, so it'll be a little bit more like user-friendly for most runners. It's kind of more of an update for everyone and not so much focused entirely on the highest level elite athletes.
Do you think it will be a little more stable, you mean, by it being a little wider? Okay.
Yeah, that's actually, that was Nike's intention.
Yeah.
That's what they told us. I think we can talk about it now because the shoe is,
it's out there.
This week, Nike sent out a very cryptic press release where they're like, the next generation of super shoe is coming. And it's like, yeah, we know. We've been seeing it on people's feet for a year. And in fact, I think we can say now without breaking an embargo that like Alex and I had it in our hands in the end of November and chatted with the designer, with Brett Schoolmeister, who designed it. And so it's going to be on Jacob Kaplimo's feet. Very curious to see. I mean, I don't know. It's like, how much is the shoe? How much is the athlete? Is the shoe? Well, Nike like you to think it's 4% or more.
Well, now,
but how much is the shoe? How much is it the athlete? It's like I think we athlete first.
You have to have the athlete.
The shoe is sort of a secondary storyline.
And what about, we have some other brands up in those elite groups. What about On with Helen Obiri? What is she wearing?
So, it's funny, right? On came out with those light spray shoes, the laceless shoes made by a robot a few years ago, and that was the talk of the town in Boston 2024. It's now been 2 years, and the knock on the last few months was, okay, when are you coming out with something else? I have seen prototype photos circulating the internet. On's been hush-hush about it. What I've seen is a type of shoe that, okay, we have it on here, the screen. It's like it's still the light spray upper, but the midsole looks to be different. It's separated into 3 parts, kind of like they would bend at the seams of each part.
Maybe added flexibility. Maybe that might have been a little bit of a criticism. We should say, interestingly, On, a company that has become visually recognizable. Its signature is the origin story. There was actually a piece in the New York Times this week about On and where it's going to go with it in terms of its growth. And the origin story, of course, is that the founder, a lovely Swiss man, triathlete, was trying to get he was, I think, sponsored by Nike as an athlete, and he chopped up a garden hose. He had this like eureka moment, chopped up a garden hose and glued the garden hose bits to the bottom of a shoe to see if he could get more spring off, like kind of like what supercritical foam is doing. And took it to Nike and was like, what do you guys think of this? Like, I think you should design something around this. And they kind of laughed him out of the building. And so he subsequently retired and then decided to develop a shoe of his own. So that kind of like the signature on cloud pods or whatever. It's like basically the idea was like a garden hose might be something fun to run on.
It's like the best villain origin story in all of running.
Exactly. But for their super shoe, conspicuously, I suppose, the holes are missing. The nothing is missing. It's all something because you need more supercritical foam. That's the move, right?
Yeah.
So the special sauce, I guess, with this shoe is the upper more than it is the midsole. So
sharp looking as always.
Let's go back. Let's give you a little quick update here on what we're seeing in the women's elite race right at the front. You still have the two pacers, the pink and yellow vests. So they're still getting help. They're almost an hour through. They're 58:20 through by the clock right now. And you still got the top three athletes, which is a good sign. You still got Helen Obiri. You still got Tigges Desefa. And then you got Jocelyn Jepkosky hanging on in the back. And she's an ASICS athlete. You've got Obiri's the on athlete. We just talked about the on shoe that she's wearing. And then you got Tigges Desefa, who presumably is wearing the Adios Pro Evo 3.
Another ASICS athlete on the screen here, Elish McColgan. So we didn't talk about ASICS very much. They have two prototypes that are well into the wild. They're called the MX Type A and Type B. So we don't know much about the shoe just yet. It is the evolution of ASICS's cleaved selection of super shoes, the Metaspeed Sky and Edge Tokyo. So what ASICS has been doing is releasing two super shoes that are almost the same, but tend to cater to slightly different runners. So we think that that's going to be the evolution to it here. Looks like a slightly chunkier shoe with a bit more of ASICS's FF Leap foam, which is just lighter, better foam that they've come up with, and they slowly started to integrate into their lineup of shoes. So the screen now is like quickly switching between the women and the men.
We have the 10K split now, right, Alex?
Let's hear it.
All right, so we still have a pack of 6 up front. They came through the 10K in 28:35, and so they are still on pace for a sub 2:01.
That's below world record pace.
It's got 2 minutes and 57 seconds is their expected finish time as of right now. So still 6 deep, and then we've got this
big crew.
Yeah, it is a big crew. There's still six strong in the first group, and then about 20 seconds afterward, we have the next group in there that is about, let's say, 2, 3, 4, at least 4 strong. We can only see the top 10 right now in here. So they're still on pace to do a pretty amazing time, but it's still early days, as you say, early days, 10K.
They just passed. If you're watching along and you're not from the UK and you're like, why is there a giant boat on the ground there? That's the Cutty Sark, one of the. It's a British clipper, a famed boat that is kind of like I guess a sort of a museum piece now. One of the great iconic aspects of this crazy course. This course is nuts. Like New York, the experience of running this course is a wild one because you basically get this unencumbered tour of the highlights, the tourism highlights of London, all to yourself because the roads are completely cleared off for you. Like at one point you run over Tower Bridge, you run through Canary Wharf, you run by Big Ben, you run through the mall and past Buckingham Palace and finish in front of Buckingham Palace. So it's like London is like shut down just for the runners, just for you on this weekend.
So this lead pack, I am tantalized by Yomif Kejelcha. I'm so curious to see what he's going to do. Looked really comfortable with the leaders. And I wonder if a guy like that who can drop a 57-minute half marathon will feel like he's breezing through half. And then what happens in the second part? Is he going to be able to hold it for a full marathon? The rest of the men in that lead group are total pros, total veterans of the distance. Is Kajelcha just going to sail with them from the start and be automatically one of the very top marathoners in the world, or will it take him a few times? Other athletes of his caliber seem to have taken a few cracks at the marathon before really falling into that 202, even 201 type of caliber athlete.
Kajelcha is a likable character. Like, we talked to him at the elite press conference, and like, he's pretty chatty and kind of charismatic guy.
Yeah.
And so you kind of want to root for him a little bit. It's like personality. It's tough with running, right? Because there is less media attention on even the best runners in the world, and because they spend so much time in East Africa training, kind of out of the spotlight, it's hard to know these people. And the only touch points we typically get throughout the year are at the World Marathon Majors. So we're always kind of like really keen to get out there and talk to these athletes as much as we possibly can. We've had a great time, like last week in Boston, just spending a ton of time talking to all the elite athletes, and then this week in London. And so to get a sense of like an athlete's personality, and personality does factor into kind of likability, like whether or not you want to root for the athlete. And Kajelcha to me was like kind of a charming guy and like pretty laid back and pretty fired up for the race. So, but also admitted he was a little bit nervous about running his first marathon, especially imagine the first marathon ever. And you're like, okay, the first marathon ever, world record pace, sub 2 hour pace right off the top. Let's go.
So
did the women just run over Tower Bridge?
They did.
Is that what we just saw there? Okay.
We're coming up. We're coming up on a half split soon here. We're at 12 and a half miles, so we're still missing a little bit we're missing just under a kilometer before we get right at a kilometer before we get that 13.1, that 21.1 split, which
because we do have the
here.
20K split, which we just got. So they're on pace right now, the lead group, for a 2:12.
Yeah.
A 2:12.
Well under
it's
the
just-
women's only world record.
And also, even more importantly, I think well under the prescribed pace at half. So there might have been a decision quickly after that technical meeting and early before the race about going faster. It's a really nice day. Maybe these athletes were feeling good. Like, we're talking like 3 full minutes of finish time faster. So that's a big deal. If they keep going this way, the course record is completely gone.
Right.
I love watching, like, so on the live stream right now, there's like a dude with a gimbal, a camera guy trying to keep pace with the lead women.
It's not working that well.
I'm just waiting for
he's
him
already
to bail.
falling. There you go.
He did
Just
about
fell
100
behind.
meters. I mean, good for him, but like, that's 3:15 or faster, 3:12 pace that he's trying to keep up with them and keep the camera steady.
And let's also see how much longer the Pacers hold on, because now we're going to get just about up to halfway in the women's race.
It would be a huge benefit to these women if the Pacers were able to go to, say, 25K, a massive benefit. But I'm fully anticipating seeing them dropping off in the near future.
They look really good, though.
You may see them drop off as soon as just like cross the halfway point and gone. Well, I mean, it depends on what their pacing duty is. They do look good, actually. They both look like super strong. Think about this. They're running like a 106 half pace. This might be, I mean, we could look up the Pacers' previous bests in the half marathon. This might be like PB time for the Pacers in the half.
I wonder if either of the Pacers or both will stick around for longer than half, but it's getting to the point of the race where you can start to look for tells in the athlete's stride to see who's starting to hurt. Now, for the uninitiated, to Helen Obiri, she's not hurting. This is
She
just
always
how
looks
she
like
runs.
that.
She's got a very deliberate arm stride as
Yes.
she's running. We got some weird... This weekend was full of odd Helen Obiri facts. I don't know where they were coming from. Someone asked her questions. Apparently, she sleeps 14 hours a day.
Yeah, I saw
man.
that.
And
And
sleep-
naps of
I
6
sleep
hour
one.
naps.
I sleep 1/3 the amount she
You sleep
sleeps.
14 hours a week.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
You're lucky if you get a weekly.
But
Total.
there's that, and also she drinks 20 cups of tea a day.
Oh, I didn't
which,
see
like,
that.
presumably is somewhat caffeinated. So I don't know how this all adds up.
She stays hydrated, though.
I guess
20
Drinks
cups of tea a
20
day.
cups of tea a day.
Alex,
is
could you
nuts.
imagine how many times you would need to pee if
You
you,
would need to
drank
pee
20 cups
20
of
times
tea
a
a
day.
day?
Don't remind me. I'm trying to sit through the full marathon here.
That's why we got a graphics package for you. To
That's right,
escape
just
to
in
go
case.
use the bathroom when you need to.
Excellent.
You can sneak out. I like that about Helen Obiri's stride, though. She's another one, and I said this during Boston as well. I love it when an athlete looks like they're working hard, and she's another like a Connor Mance, who you watch him run, and he always looks like he's working hard.
Yeah, So Obiri, it's no. If you're
don't worry.
if you're
She's
watching
fine.
the live stream and you're wondering what's going on with her stride, she's just a power runner.
Yep.
She's a slashing runner, and it's been very effective for her. And she also has arguably maybe the most deadly final mile kick of any of these athletes, although she's in pretty tough against Asefa, who used to be an 800-meter runner as well. So we should say Helen Obiri, she's won the Boston-New York combo, and she on paper does not have the fastest of seed times, but she has an entire track career before her marathon running career that was absolutely like bleeding edge world class, world finals medalist caliber, 5 and 10,000 meter type runner. So she is somebody who's got a lot of track speed and a lot of experience running tight races and finishing strong. So she's somebody that if she's in the mix, say right now, if she's still in the mix with a couple of K to go, deadly. Absolutely deadly.
Yeah, such a versatile runner. Usually these track runners go for flat, fast marathons off the gun, but instead she went with the tactical ones and absolutely excelled. So halfway through, 66:12, the official half splits on pace for 2:12 mid.
2:12:24.
2:12:24.
Look at the math I just did there.
Wow.
Good job.
Impressive.
Yeah.
Alley-oop that one for you.
Yeah. Thank you.
On just a few hours sleep, I'm impressed.
Yes, indeed. I can do basic math. 2:12:24. That's really fast. That is, you almost wonder if they would have gone out a little bit. Well, they did go out faster than that. They went out 2:10 pace. I wonder if they were flirting with that 2:10 and then just decide, let's tamp this down. You also wonder, and we talked to Patrick Devers, who paced the first half in Chicago with Kiplimo and Career. We asked him, did these guys talk very much? Did they say, go faster, go slower? Are they changing gears? Are they driving them like a sports car? And it's he's they were actually pretty quiet and they didn't really say anything. But you got to wonder if on the women's side and the men's side, especially the men's side where they've got each of these two top guys in Kiplimo and Sawe have got, in the case of Kiplimo's brother is pacing. In the case of Sawe's training partner, is there more communication? Is there more, let's do this, let's do that, speed up, slow down? Mm-hmm. And on the women's side, is there that communication as well? Because how else do you define a 2:12 race when the plan was they were going to go in at 2:15 flat pace, and now they're running 2.5 minutes faster than that.
Unless they spoke right before the gun went off and said, you know what, the conditions are perfect. It's a little cooler than we expected. Let's kick it up a little bit.
Yeah. Possibly. Now, we should note here in the wheelchair race, surprise, surprise, Marcel Hoog wins. It's back-to-back wins for him. He won 6
major
days
marathons
ago.
in 6 days.
Yeah.
He won 6 days ago in Boston. That is wild.
He is unbeatable.
Yeah, he's the guy now.
He's the all-time wheelchair great, for sure, for sure.
So 1:24, I think, if I eyeballed his finish time. So
I would say London for apart from the turns, there are quite a few turns in this race. I think it's 20-something or 30-something turns in this race. Besides the turns is a pancake flat course with that start, which is quite fast downhill. Really only getting up and over Tower Bridge would be the challenge for Marcel Hoog. So incredible performance for him. Whereas Boston, obviously a much more challenging course because you get the Newton Hills and you have to fight up those. Very, very tough for the wheelchair athletes.
Right.
So back to the women here.
We're getting another snapshot of the women's race if you're watching the live stream along with us. And Pacers are still in it.
Yeah, this is good
They look
news.
so strong.
So we're exactly 111 into this race right now, and we still have the Pacers. So hopefully we'll get them through in 25. Hopefully we'll get them through for 25K.
Yeah, and this is a 3-horse race. So Amanangol, who had an ambitious first 5 to 7K with the leaders, is now a minute 13 back. She's still holding 4th place. Asamarov of Ethiopia in 5th, and Eunice Chumba now competing for Bahrain in 6th place, 3 minutes behind leader.
You hope that those athletes in 4th, 5th, and 6th have someone on the course, a coach, teammate, a loved one, who is communicating to you that like, okay, the top three are still in a group together, but you're in fourth. Just hang in there and wait for one of those top three to break under the pressure and fall back to you, and maybe you can get yourself on the podium. That's the way you continue to focus when you're all alone in fourth place. Hopefully they've got a pacer as well, because there are some pacers from those earlier groups that theoretically should still be in it pacing you as well. But if you do not have a pacer, that's now the mission. The mission is just keep myself in the game in case one of these top three women fall apart and fall back to me.
And it can happen. We even
Totally.
saw last week in Boston, Jess McLean jump 2 spots in the final kilometers of the race.
That's
and
right.
come in, I think it was fifth or so. Yeah.
Yep.
So she jumped 2 spots, just hanging on and staying strong.
Yeah, so we'll keep you looped in there. I guess do we have a men's split yet?
We were waiting for
should
the
have
15K.
Yeah, like any minute now,
Yeah.
the men will pass the 15K. I'm curious to see if there are still 6 in that lead pack. We haven't really talked about a few of the others in that top 6 yet. So Amos Caputo and Duressa Galetta are 2 of the very top men's athletes. Galetta, like the most unheralded 2:02 marathoner, perhaps in history. He's just like he's always in it. He hasn't won a major race. He's been overshadowed by a few of the top dogs, but like the guy's a 2:02 runner. He could do something huge today. And same with Amos Caputo, 2:03 low. Galetta is Ethiopian. Caputo is Kenyan. They're both from countries that have just a wealth of talent. This
And
like
you get kind of lost in the sauce
Well,
being a 203 guy or whatever,
you
or
do.
202 guy.
what they need is a win at a major marathon.
That's right.
And then just like that,
A
they're on the
defining
map.
win. Well, we saw this last week with in Boston with Milkesha Mingesha of Ethiopia, also an unheralded 202, 203 guy.
203 low.
Somebody who is looking for that sort of signature standout performance coupled with a world marathon major win. So you never know with these guys, because they're in the mix. Curious if the training has gone well. It's not a far reach. It's no bigger a reach theoretically, or at least on paper, than it is for Sawe or for Kiplimo, right?
Well, the 6 guys are still together at the 15K. We just got the split in.
Okay.
They are still on course for a very fast race, but now they have jumped into 202 territory. So they're in 202.26, still
they've-
6 strong.
So there's a little bit of a fade going on.
There's
here
a little
right now.
bit, just right, because they were still in right under 201 when we got that previous split.
It's an interesting split because even in the most conservative of estimations, our leaders wanted to go in 201 pace. To already be about a minute and a half off pace at 15K is a little bit strange.
Kind of. I mean, it kind of means it's out of the picture. I think it kind of means that that course record, certainly world record, might be out of the picture unless we see something absolutely devastating from either Kiplimo or perhaps more probably Sawe, given his tactics in the past. But so I don't. It's not out of the question that this happens, but it's interesting to see that they're falling into the 202 range so early into the race.
We're also we're also live and we're relying on the TCS app, which usually is terrific. I'm not sure if I want to rely on this right now because
Okay.
it's also saying that the pace is the athletes are increasing their pace. So how are they increasing their pace, but the estimated finish time is slowing? So this is a developing file. Just stay tuned because it doesn't seem like this is adding up to look like a slower marathon than it
Okay,
did
good.
5 kilometers ago.
Okay, that's
All
good news.
So we'll put a pin in it for a second. We'll circle back once we have more reliable splits for the top men. We should note that the course record, which is pretty close to the world, within a minute of the world record, it's 55 seconds off or 50 seconds off the world record. 2:01:25 set in 2023 by the late great Kelvin Kiptum. Who also has the world record of 2 hours and 35 seconds. So 2:01:25 is, I mean, kind of in a weird way, the consolation prize for these guys, and the world record being the big prize. Actually, I think if you're going A goal, B goal, C goal, as runners of any
Right.
ability level do,
Which you should all be doing.
if you're Sebastian Sawe and you woke up this morning and you're writing down in your running journal and you're like, okay, You write London Marathon 2026. A goal, sub 2.
Of course.
B goal, world record, 2 hours 34 or less. C goal, course record, 2:01:25. Like, your D goal is what? I don't know. D goal would be a personal best for him.
D goal is win the race.
Right.
D goal is win the race. Yeah. No, I think that's
Imagine,
probably
your D goal.
I guess that's got to be A plus goal, because if you don't win the race, all those other things don't count. Right.
Because someone else did it.
We're also talking $55,000 for the winner.
It's 55,000.
Plus time bonuses.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah.
I think we might be pounds and not dollars.
Oh,
for that.
sorry.
Even
Let's see.
better.
Which is even better. Which
Even
is
better.
1.3 American dollars.
Pounds are worth so much money. I spent 10 pounds.
Oh, yeah,
I spent 10 pounds on hanging on the bar with Katelyn and Jesse. It was one of these street performers and coaxed me into spending $10 to hang on a bar for 90
spent
seconds
$10
to win.
on doing that?
Well, it was 18 Canadian dollars to stand on the bar.
Oh,
And
was
like
it?
it went out
You
of my credit
fool.
card. I thought I could do it. Say hang for 90 seconds. Of course, at 45 seconds, the bar starts to spin.
They
It
spun
knocked
the
me off
bar
the-
on us because
It
I
was
tried to. And wasn't it interesting that we both fell off at the same time?
Right?
Hmm.
Right?
You guys got rooked.
Yeah, we did.
Yes.
So I have the time bonuses here. So I think where you get the big bucks is if you get a time bonus, because like you're
Sure.
saying, Alex, first place for men's and women's, we've got 55,000, second and third place, 30,000, 22,500. But the time bonuses, if the men's time bonus for a sub 202, 150,000.
So three times.
Yeah,
pretty much
three times the
winning
amount
prize.
of winning the race. So that should be my A goal if I'm
Huge.
running this race.
That's huge.
You're like, that's my A
That's
goal.
my A goal.
And also, like, the women seem to be well on pace to have a massive
Yeah,
payday.
they're
because
making some money.
What that sub 215 gets 150K.
Yeah.
And I should say a little inside baseball here is that the London Marathon always pays the biggest dollars in terms of appearance fees of any of the World Marathon majors.
Okay.
It's well known within the world of the World Marathon majors. They're all like the rest of the World Marathon majors are like kind of jealous of London because they're like, oh, their elite athlete coordinator gets so much money to play with. And that's why you see every year you see these incredible, like, you know, every year in London when they announce the elite fields, I feel like I'm doing a podcast where it's like, where we're using the superlatives like greatest field ever assembled seems to be mentioned every year with London. And that's because they've got a crazy amount of money that they throw at these athletes. You know, we're talking mid six figures for someone like a Sefa or Sawe to show up and run, if not more. I was told at one point, I might be totally wrong on this, so don't aggregate this anyone, but I was told at one point that Kipchoge got $800,000 just to show up and run.
Oh,
Heard that too.
And
Yeah.
so, you know, in the world of distance running, that's an enormous amount of money. Obviously, if you're talking about any other top level world class sport, sounds kind of like peanuts. When you think about, you know, someone wins the Masters or whatever, and they win 10 or $8 million, or if you win or if you're like a prize fight at boxing, nobody watches boxing anymore. It's like you still people getting like a $20 million payday, and of course like elite team sports guys getting paid, men and women. Women now in
Super Bowl,
WNBA actually getting paid over $1
NBA.
million, but in the NBA getting paid $50-60 million a year US. So
Still, $800,000 for a single day appearance fee.
not
Really
too
good.
bad.
yeah, not
bad.
too shabby.
Yeah.
So
Hey, the women pacers are still on.
That's
They're going
great.
through. The women are going through a bottle station right now. Asafa just seamlessly
I wasn't even a
grabbed
bottle
that.
station. That was interesting.
Oh,
So
was it not?
she grabbed a bottle
grabbed a
of
bottle?
water from a volunteer on course.
Interesting.
So that wasn't even the so there's the bottle stations where they have the elite athletes have the bottle tables.
Yeah.
Where each of them have their own customized bottle that is marked and has their fluid in it. So you're a Morton person, you got Morton in there. If you're Goo, you've got Goo. Whoever your sponsor is for your nutrition, whatever you're working with. And that's why it's so key for these athletes to get their bottle, because otherwise they're reliant on just the aid stations that the rest of us use in the race. And that's kind of you get what you get and you don't get upset, right? So
So they're allowed to grab fueling from
They are.
at any place along the course.
they are, yeah.
Okay.
But it's always telling when you see an elite athlete grab fueling from the mass area, the mass tables, and from the volunteers. And in that case, it was a full bottle of water. So maybe it's starting to get a little bit warm out there.
Could be.
They are slowing down their pace. So 25K for the women. They're now on pace to go 2:14.18. So yeah, things are getting a bit warmer, maybe a bit harder. They've just eclipsed that 5 minutes per mile pace. So yeah, and the pace, at least the Pacers are still in. So that should carry them for a little while longer. If things get hot and things get tactical, this might actually play in Helen O'Beery's hands.
It may.
2:14 is not that far off of a 2:17. So again, I'm curious as to why Asefa and even Jepkoskai didn't choose to go faster off the start and try to eliminate O'Beery. But
I think they probably chose not to go faster off the start because 2:12 and 13 is really damn fast.
it's already really fast.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, and only Asefa has run in that ballpark in her life. She's run 2:11.
Yeah.
But that 2:11 was a 2:11.53, 52.
53.
So that's 2:11. That's basically a 2:12. And apart from that, she's delivered a 2:15 here in London last year, but she's not gone back down into that 2:12 range since that initial run in Berlin a couple of years ago.
So we're seeing the wheelchair women getting close to the finish, and we also had a shot of the 6 men still running all together. Kajelcha's tall figure just towering over everyone else.
Yeah,
he's a tall guy, and he's looking very comfortable as they're getting a bit closer to the 20K mark. So, yeah.
This is a very close finish in the
This is
women's
super tight.
wheelchair race. Wow.
So yeah, whereas on the men's side of things, Marcel Hoog is
Right.
the dominant athlete. The women's side, things are a little bit closer
race.
contested. This was tight.
Yeah, so and you get it if you're watching the live stream now, you get a really good sense of just how special the finishing area is in London, how opulent it is. Like I don't know how many other races where you get to finish in front of a royal palace.
Looks pretty special.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never run a race in I'm thinking about other places that have opulent palaces. Monaco.
You haven't done the Monaco Marathon?
No,
recently?
yeah. Does Monaco even have enough territory for you to run a marathon? I don't know.
Or would you just have to do a
'Cause
bunch
it's a
of loops?
city-state, right? It's a principality. It's a tiny little. It's a tax haven. It's
probably
also the home of the World Athletics headquarters.
Oh,
Monaco,
I like to bring
yeah.
that up in every live watch along.
Where do the World Athletics
it's a tax
bureaucrats
haven.
do their runs in the
It's
morning?
a tax haven, and where World Athletics is headquartered.
How strange.
Coincidence.
maybe they're all running on Wahoos.
Yeah, maybe they're good weird segue, but I'll take it. Shout out to Wahoo, who are our partners in our live watch along stream, both in Boston and now in London as well. And the Wahoo Kicker Run is just an extraordinary device. Cool thing about Wahoo is they have partnered with Koros, one of the big watch companies, and we got to test this out on Friday. So now they have a Wahoo Koros branded watch. So now you can get a watch, or just if you've got a Koros in the ecosystem, you can now sync the watch with the treadmill, and it's kind of wild actually. If you get into the nitty gritty of the technology of this stuff, their engineers have built a custom Bluetooth protocol. So it's not okay. I don't want to get too nerdy here, but it's not like if you know ANT Plus or just a generic Bluetooth protocol that connects your device, connects your treadmill to your watch, and kind of does a crappy job at it. They developed their own custom Bluetooth protocol that communicates basically we tested it. We did a reel on it. We're going to put out, which is just absolutely perfectly accurate to what's running on the treadmill. So a nightmare when you're running a treadmill is you want to get the data on your watch, right? Then you want to get it on Strava.
Yeah.
But the paces are always
they're
incredibly
always
off.
embarrassingly bad.
Yes,
So
way
they
off.
also give you bad metrics, bad overall feedback, which is problematic if you're reliant on, say you're reliant on Runna for your training, or you're reliant just on Strava. You like to get those numbers or or Garmin or whatever, you're trying to get that data to understand where you're at in your fitness. It gets all messed up if you're on the treadmill. So
You know,
they fixed that.
I kind of like it because it makes me seem like I'm flying. It's like at
So-
least 45 seconds faster per kilometer when I'm on the
No,
treadmill.
mine is slower.
Yours is slower.
Mine is slower.
You see how?
So that's
and
why I'm like, Koros, thank you.
yeah, thank you for that.
I was talking to my fiance Alexis. Shout out to her if she's watching. It's really early where she is yesterday,
She's asleep,
and
Alex.
she was so excited, and she told me that she had run a 3-minute personal best over 5K on the treadmill. And I said, "How did you get your time?" She said, "I looked at my watch, and it said that."
Oh,
And
yes.
I didn't have the heart
God.
to tell her that's probably not right. So
Burst
she,
her bubble,
she does
yeah.
not yet have the Koros Wahoo connection back home. So,
we
who knows? Maybe it was accurate.
We should note in the men's race here, which is if you're watching the live stream along with this on screen right now, and they are going through. They're just about through halfway. They're on Tower Bridge right now.
We have the
And
20K
So we're
split.
gonna get we got the 20K split. We're gonna get the halfway split any second now.
So-
It's my
So
Oh,
here-
birthday.
here's the
Alex, you were
deal.
absolutely
Here's
right.
the deal. I knew there
Look
was
what
something
happens.
up. They're at 20K and pacing right on 2
2
hours
hours.
flat pace. So I think there was a faulty split somewhere, although the miles are really yo-yoing. So this previous mile was 4:25. They're flying. They went up to a 4:39, and now they're back down on pace. So guys, this is fascinating. Again, I've mentioned this runner a lot, but Yomif Kejelcha will cross half in just around 60, and for a 57-minute half marathoner, that's going to feel easy. Jacob
Is it?
Kaplimo, well,
He's
look
cruising.
at him. He's
Yeah.
cruising, and
Yeah.
same with Jacob Kaplimo. Once you've done a few half marathons in 56 to 58 minutes, this is child's play. But I think the real race will begin in about 10 kilometers.
Yeah.
So we should note the two main players that we've been eyeballing the entire race. The co-favorites coming in, Jacob Kiplimo and Sebastian Sawe, still very much right in the pack here. Sawe's in the pink vest, right in the center. Sawe's holding what I like to call that's the Kipchoge spot.
Kipchoge,
That's
yeah.
the Kipchoge spot.
Right
that
in the
you're-
middle there.
The smartest runner, right in the middle behind the Pacers.
Yep.
Safe, not going to get tripped up, not having to worry about doing any work. Just stare at the back of the guy's head and get your rhythm going. And so you've got Sawe right in the sweet spot there, but then you've also got the tall guy in the back is Yomif Kipjelcha. He's also an Adidas athlete as well. And then you've got Jacob Kiplimo also in the mix here too. So you've got your two main guys.
They crossed the 20K split 16 seconds faster than world record pace. So I think it's safe to say the men are going
Pretty
for it.
substantial. Pretty substantial. Okay, so there we go. So world record under threat here, halfway through. And one of the fastest opening splits you're going to see in a marathon so far in history. Let's see if they can hold on for the next. The next really telling split will definitely be the 30, right around the 30K to 20 mile, 32 kilometer split.
So it looks like the Pacers have peeled off in the women's race. We still have the three big dogs together. Asefa kind of leading the way, but the Pacers have now decided to retire their posts.
The gloves have come off. The
That's
gloves were
right.
never on because it's a little bit of just a tick warm today, but I don't think too warm for the elite athletes, especially if you're running, even if you're running under 3 to 3.5 hours, I think you're going to be home safe without it being too warm a day for you. But for the top women in this race who are pacing out now at under 2:15 pace, it's kind of perfect racing weather, a little sunny, but perfect racing weather. So this is where the race is going to get very interesting. The two Pacers gone. This means we're going to get into some gameswomanship, if you will, where we're going to see whether or not Asefa is going to take this lead. She's the returning champion, or Jocelyn Jepkosgei, where she's going to maybe try to make a move. If I were her, I would. Jepkosgei, I think, here has the least to lose and the most to gain from maybe an attack or a surge to see if the others will go with her, which I think they would have to. We're going to see if they're just going to sit tight together. Last few years in the women's only races, it's played out where when it's down to 2 or 3, they've kind of hung out together and paced it out. very curious to see if someone puts in a surge here.
It's funny to see what happens when the Pacers do peel off, because when you're running behind the Pacers, you can just kind of relax, settle in, follow the girls in front of you. But now I've seen Asefa, even though she's not surging right away, checked over her shoulder 3 times. People are they're looking at their watches, because now they've got to settle in and they've got to set their own pace. So everything changes a little bit, and they've got to work a little bit harder.
I mean, I would say I don't like looking at stride and trying to be like a stride analyst to say who looks more comfortable, because especially when you're talking with someone like Helen O'Beary, that is her racing style, her sort of slashing racing style.
Yes.
And she's super efficient runner. But I would say Asefa, knowing how she runs, knowing her arm carriage, knowing how she likes to pace out a race, she's looking really good right now.
She does. I agree.
And she also likes to run in the front too and kind of command a race.
Mm-hmm.
Although I saw her flashing a look to Jep Koskai, almost seemingly saying, "Come help me out up here." And then they started running next to each other. Now, I looked at their mile splits, and the last few miles, so mile 14 and 15, were the slowest of the race so far. So I wonder if that's foreshadowing for the men as well when things start to get hard. Also, the weather's slowly creeping up here.
It's starting to get a little bit warmer. I mean, we anticipated this coming into this race where we were going to see the starting temps very, very nice, ideal for the beginning of a marathon. Mm-hmm. But as we've seen the last few days here in London, it just keeps climbing up and climbing up. Beautiful day to have a pint outside. Not
sit on a
so
terrace,
much for
have lunch.
not so much for running the last hour of your marathon, perhaps later on today, but
we also expected a bit of overcast, and I don't know about you guys, but I've seen a lot of sunshine.
There's a lot of sun.
There's a lot of sun out there.
It's pretty cast, I'll be honest.
So it's undercast?
It's very undercast.
Yeah.
Well, so last week in Boston, I managed to go to the bathroom. I take one bathroom break every live stream right at the time that John Courier broke the field. So I'm going to do it now before someone breaks the field, and I'm hoping to come back before that happens.
There you go.
Okay,
Okay, so we'll fill for while Alex goes to pee. I love it how he can't make it through a live stream.
No, can't make it through 2 hours. 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Beyond the elite athletes today, I'd say the biggest storylines are that there is going to be an attempt at setting a world record for the number of finishers.
Yes.
The world record for the number of finishers in a marathon was kind of been ping-ponging back and forth between New York and London in the last couple of years. London set it last spring, and then New York took it away. And I think New York had 59,000 plus finishers last November.
So we have to get above that today.
Clearing 60,000,
60,000,
I think, is probably the goal here for the London Marathon finishers. We got in the next wave starting here now in the mass starts. They have 3 different areas in the Blackheath area where they start, where they then pool together a couple of kilometers in, as to create the larger experience of running the London Marathon with the 60,000 of your closest friends.
So what happens, Michael? What happens if London does decide to do the 2-day marathon weekend? So now would 120,000 be the new record, or would the record still stand just as how many
really great question.
finishers cross the line in one day? That's my question.
Right. Then it becomes like, this is where world records get kind of silly and arbitrary, where it's like, then they're like, hold the record for the largest marathon edition of a marathon spread over 2 days, and it's
a festival, a marathon festival, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think when this race wraps up, we can discuss and debate further what we think London should do, in our humble opinions, what we think London should do if they are going to extend into a multi-day experience, how they should manage that, how they should split up the fields, how they should define the races so they're not watering down one or the other. But we can give you an update right now on the men's fields here. We're 105.50 into the race right now. And Sawe, Amos Kipruto, Jacob Kiplimo, Yomif Kajalcha, Tamara Tola, Darissa Galetta, Gobina's in there, another guy who is underappreciated, I would say.
Yep. He's leading the chase pack, Obina, and the rest following the pacer. I believe this is Sebastian Sawe's pacer, just by virtue of the fact that he's an Adidas athlete, and all of them following. So Amos Caputo, Duressa Galetta. Caputo, you know what? We didn't talk about this. Caputo actually won London in 2022, so he's got a lot of experience. 2:03 low, and his personal best does come from that London Marathon. And Duressa Galetta, his 2:02 comes from Sevilla in 2024. So
Sevilla, you say it with the spurs.
Wow.
Did I say that right?
Seville. Yeah.
Seville, if you're an American.
Yeah, which you are not. So
Which I am not.
You are
Katelyn, did I say-
Latin language. You are
Sevilla.
a romance
Sevilla.
language. You are a native romance language speaker.
That's right.
So you're
I have
So
been-
you're allowed to.
Well, you know, when we were talking about Marathon des Sables, I was saying Marathon of the Sands.
Marathon of the Sands
to make sure that I didn't pronounce it incorrectly.
Marathon des Sables.
Yes,
Like
well,
as
you
if-
guys are fancy.
Yeah.
I have the 30K split for the women, and Alex, if the splits are correct, we are falling a little bit more
I
behind what
believe
we
that.
expected. So right now we're on pace. The top 3 women are on pace for a 2:15:42.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're dabbling in not record-breaking territory.
Yeah, and no 150K prize purse territory either. And I wonder if Tigges de Sefa is aware of that, because if one of them seems to be pushing the pace, it's her. And for the first time, it looks like Obiri and Jep Koskai are working harder. Jep Koskai just veered right for a bottle. Obiri's doing the same thing. Isefa's just going straight. I really wonder what her bottle tactic is, given that she just like grabbed one from the audience.
Maybe because she just grabbed something, she decided to.
Yeah, but that was just water.
skip.
Though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but to skip her fueling.
And that was
interesting.
also a few kilometers ago.
Yeah.
So Isefa has foregone the latest bottle station.
She's pulling
We'll-
us that way.
Yeah, and we'll see if that comes back to haunt her. As we talked about nutrition. So in the sort of the great evolution of marathon running, really for everyone, not just for elite athletes, the big change, it's a kind of a big post-pandemic change. It started to happen before the pandemic, but the big pair of changes has been the adoption of super shoes in the last 8 or 9, 10 years, and then also how we fuel. And obviously Morton with their hydrogels has sort of changed that game, and also forced a bunch of other companies to try to innovate as well with nutrition. And then also just like our knowledge of how much nutrition, how much like on-course carb loading you could possibly do if you train your gut. It's like these elite athletes now are taking in like how many carbs per hour? It's like a crazy
They could be up
number.
to 120, 160 carbs an hour. They are really pushing the limit. When before we would say we would be thrilled if we were taking a gel an hour.
Yeah.
That was a big deal.
Yeah.
And now you're taking 2-3 gels worth of carbs an hour.
Yeah, so you'll note the contrast here. Tigges de Sefa at the front did not take a bottle.
Yep.
She's pushing the pace. And then you've got Jocelyn Chepkoska in the middle behind her. And then you've got Helen Obiri looking like she's kind of trailing a little bit.
Just a tad, yeah.
And they're all in single file right now. And the latter two athletes took the bottles and, are taking a substantial amount of fluid. We're talking like usually in each bottle, and there are quite a few bottles in the bottle stations, quite a few bottle stations that they hit. They're taking like 400 liters of fluid in, 400 milliliters, 400 milliliters of fluid
That's
in
a lot, yeah.
with high concentrate carbs
Right.
in there. So a really interesting choice by Isefa to skip that and push the pace with these other two sticking to their plan.
Yeah, and I think you're right here. For the first time this race, the last couple of minutes, we've seen Ellen Obiri kind of struggle and bob back and forth from the back. Like right now, she still appears to be stuck on the other two, but I saw a bit of real estate opening up between the other two and Helen Obiri. So I'm wondering if this is going to be the break soon.
We should say, though, that Obiri is used to championship-style racing. She's used to surges. She's used to weathering storms. She's very good in Boston, very good in New York, where you have to kind of a yo-yo type scenario and a lot of gear changes. And at any level, elite athlete or middle of the packer, it's all about like mentally getting through those tough patches, and then you settle You calm down, your heart rate goes back down, and you're able to rally. And if they let Obiri in this race, if they let her hang, they could find themselves, the other two could find themselves in serious trouble in the final mile of the race.
So Eilish McColgan getting a lot of camera time, presumably the first British athlete through 30K. She's almost at the 30K split. She was the first through 25 at the time. It's the last split we have on her. She was on pace to run in the 224s again. So roughly the same time as she threw down. I'm guessing that she wants something faster, but there are still bragging rights to be won. She and Rose Harvey contending for top English woman in the field. Although I got to say she's a Scottish athlete, so top British athlete in the field.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
careful distinction there.
Yeah. She's,
Eilish would not be very happy to hear you refer to her as English.
Definitely not.
And she still has her pacer with her too, which is great. And her pacer actually a moment ago was kind of like barking at her, like, get on my heel.
Get here, move up here.
It's a feeling we're all familiar with if we've run with anyone who's faster than us and is trying to pace us through something, is like that intensity of like your pacer saying like, get up here and get on my heel, get on my
That's
on
a
my
little
hip
bit. That's a
here.
little stressful.
It
It
is
has
stressful.
happened to
It's
me,
like,
but
I'm
yeah, it's
trying my
stressful. I'm
best.
doing my best.
Yeah.
If I could be there, I would be there.
Yeah. Interesting note to note here. Okay, so Salway and Kiplimo are obviously the two big contenders coming in, and right now in the men's race, Jacob Kiplimo is the guy in the very back of this train of athletes, and it's now down to one pacer. Salway sitting right behind the pacer. I think that no, it's not. And then Yomif Kijelcha
is
right
right.
on his shoulder as well. But then we've got Kiplimo all the way in the back of this group. So, and kind of trailing a little bit, and he's got the bottle right now.
Maybe took him a while to get the bottle. He's taking his nutrition. Maybe that's slowing him down a tiny bit. But yeah, it's funny that they're not necessarily running in a pack as much as they're running in a train. They're
Like a train,
almost in
right.
a straight line, which usually means they're going fast. The last so what the broadcast is doing that's kind of nice is they're comparing their pace to the world record pace. And at 25 kilometers, they were trailing by about 15 seconds. So they've slightly fallen off world record pace, but are still holding. So commonality between the women's race and the men's race is that things started to go a little bit south, a bit slower after the first half. So maybe a characteristic of the course, also just the fact that it's getting a bit warmer. We're up to the 14, 15 degrees Celsius, which is a little bit warmer than you would ideally want it to be.
It wasn't that ideal Boston temp from last week.
No, and no consistent tailwind either. Of course, all those fast times run in Boston don't count for world records or count for national records, because a point-to-point course can't count as an official course because of exactly that type of scenario. If you get a tailwind, you'll get a huge advantage. So London being
I'm gonna actually
squiggly.
bring up on the screen for us the course map again.
Yeah, let's
we
see
talked about it at the beginning, but this is a tricky second half of this course. There are a number of turns, which does eat away a little bit at pace, right? We're seeing now, if you're watching the live broadcast, there's a lot of like deking in and out, a lot of twists and turns. I mean, you're in a city center, right? So finding that line, again, I think that London doesn't paint the blue line like some of the other World Marathon majors do, so you don't know exactly the tangent to run. And this course in the second half, talking to anybody who's run the London Marathon, they will say that the second half of this course obviously any marathon starts to get really challenging. Oh, and I
do
should
see
note
that blue line.
I should note the blue line is there.
It is there.
It's
I
just a
just
check.
saw it.
not
It's like a-
in New York, I believe it's just a solid blue line,
Right.
And in London, it's a checked blue line. So if you're watching along and you're seeing a faint blue line on the tarmac, that is the official course. If you run that line, 26.2 on the nose, 42.195 flat.
So we now have a 25K split
Great.
for the men. Still 6 men, and they are now flat between world record pace and course record pace.
All
So
right.
2:01:03 for Kajelcha and the gang. Jelcha was the first one to cross.
Kajelcha and the gang. That sounds like a 70s like funk band. Kajelcha and the gang.
Kajelcha and
So yeah, the world record 2 hours 35 seconds. The course record 2 hours 1 minute 25 seconds. So they're sitting in the sweet spot between those two right now. I'm curious to see if Sawe or anyone else feels a sense of urgency to try to go after the world record at any point in the next few K. You got the 30K split for the women. I think they just went through the 30K.
We are at 30K and 135.21. So on pace for 2:15.42. So they're sticking right around that course record pace. Paula Radcliffe. What's Miss Radcliffe doing right now, you guys?
She's doing the broadcast with the BBC.
Oh,
there she is.
There we go.
That's a tough one. When you're doing the broadcast and you're watching like you're kind of watching your legacy getting eclipsed. It might be a bit of a and I know she's a very, needless to say, ultra competitive person. So, and very proud person as well. I will say that. I mean, you guys know that I'm a Tigges to Sefa guy.
Yes.
I'm a dare say even a fan, and I like her style. I like her running style. Ferocious runner. I like how she runs at the front. I like how she's like, ladies, let's get serious here. I'm not going to let this slide here. I'm going to take the lead. But the worry is always you do all the work at the front. You keep in an honest race. You keep the foot to the pedal the entire second half. And then if you don't win the race, it's kind of all for naught, right? So it's going to be like, I think the narrative that's formulating right now is either Tigges to Sefa, totally dominant, drove this race, kept it honest, pulls off the big victory running from the front, or it's Sefa kept the race honest, but one of these other two women outkicks her.
Surged at the end,
so
right.
We're going to see.
So the two numbers to keep in mind, fair to say the world record is off the table, but 2:15.25 course record, 2:15.50 world women's only record. So those are the two records that the women have a chance of getting. The men, everything is still on the table.
Anything is possible right now.
We might be watching a historic race on the men's side still as it unfolds. I can see this becoming a negative split race. A lot of major marathons have become negative split affairs. And just as I'm saying this, the pacer steps off the course.
I mean, he went quite a ways. He went well past halfway. Whomever brought that dude into the mix for pacing. I was uncertain. I didn't catch there whether or not it was
I think that was
Sawe's training partner or it was Kiplimo's brother or there was a third pacer as well.
I can't say I saw Kiplimo's brother very much in the last 10 kilometers. There might be a conversation waiting for him at home.
Exactly.
Over dinner tonight.
Pacing, it's like do you like not invite your brother over for the holidays? Yeah. So that pacer was doing some serious work, got them through well past 25K.
25, right?
So that's a big pull. That's a big ask for that pacer to run world record pace for 25K.
I'm excited for these guys to get to the 30K split. I want to see if a move is made. Do you think they're still 6 strong? Do you think someone's going to make a move at 30K?
Hard to say. Right now, I'm seeing the chase pack. So there's going to be a race for greatest British athlete on the men's side of things too. So six British athletes led by Phil Sessamon, Mohammed, and Patrick Dever. Probably on pace to run something like 2:06, 2:07. So right on schedule. Didn't expect 6 of them to be in contention 25 kilometers into the race.
Nice.
So major national bragging rights here up to play.
And Mohammed, who has performed really well in London in the past, and we kind of anticipated with Emile Caresse would be the 1-2 punch on the British side, with Caresse dropping out. It was really interesting to note that Mohammed was not part of the press conference on Friday. I don't know what that was about. Maybe he just had a commitment, but he was not there. But we did get to talk to Patrick Devers and Phil Sessamon at length as well. They both said that the British national record was out of reach for them at this stage. Still owned by Mo Farah at 2:05, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And they felt like they needed to make a jump before they made that jump. They were sort of saying, well, they're 2:07 guys. They would like to get into the 2:06 range. And that would be, a goal, absolute huge accomplishment for them. And then after that, they would start thinking about the possibility of a 2:05. Let's get to 2:06 before we get to 2:05, because there's a lot of questions from the British media about, like, are you going to go after the UK record.
I was going to say that watching the women, they kind of changed the guards because Jep Koske was out front, and now they were in a straight line, and now they're shifting again,
Now
and
they're
now
three
Obiri,
abreast.
it's like they're three abreast, and now Obiri's coming out front. I don't know what they're going to settle into for these next kilometers.
Actually, we're 151.26 into this women's race, and we've got Helen Obiri leading this race for the very first time, I think, since the gun went.
Yep.
And so interesting to see her take the lead here. I wonder if she's going to try to make a push, or I wonder if this was a scenario where it was Asefa and Jep Koskei just kind of saying, like, do a little bit of the work, take the lead for a little bit here. But just as I say that, Asefa actually grabbed her
grab
bottle.
the bottle.
Takes a bottle.
There,
So we're
there
going
it
through
is.
the bottles here. Super key to get your bottle. They each have their spot, right? So you know where your bottle is going to be in the lineup of bottles. The volunteers make sure to place your bottle out, and no other bottle in that area goes out. And so then it becomes an etiquette thing where it's like you kind of have to give your fellow competitor a line to get in there and get their bottle and get out unencumbered. And you obviously don't want to trip each other up because that could
And that
be a
was
disaster.
like clockwork.
Yeah.
So here we go. We're getting faster. Obiri doing Obiri things. You think that she's done, and then she picks it up. So 35K, they're on pace for
things.
2:15:04 is now the
Oh,
pace.
so close.
they keep this
Okay.
up. They will break the women's only world record, and they'll break the course record. So Miss Radcliffe on the BBC stream, hoping to see a good race, but not too good of a
Not
race.
too-
'cause I'm
exactly.
She's probably
Imagine,
hoping to
like-
hold on to her record. 2:15:25.
But
is
she
the mark.
has to. She has to say, "I have held this record for so many years."
Yeah,
I mean, you're talking
23
23 years.
Huge.
Maybe it's time to break it.
That's wild to think about. I actually was watching. We were here for a panel a couple of nights ago that Tracksmith put on, and on the TV in the space here at Knees Up, they were looping the Radcliffe Marathon.
Oh,
And
nice.
I was like mesmerized by it. It was like, what a different time. Like just the shoes that they're wearing, the kit that they're wearing.
No super shoes.
No, God, they
course
were like
not.
slippers.
Yeah.
She's wearing these like Nike, this like very thin Nike shoe. And also what I noticed was something sort of in absentia, which is the amount of like water stations that she was not hitting and like just running through everything.
Probably not fueling as much.
No.
Okay,
So,
once again here, the stream is giving us a different time than the TCS app. They're projecting Obiri's finish in like well into the 2:14s, a good 30 seconds faster than what the app is reading.
Okay.
So take that with a grain. Take either with the grain of salt.
Yeah.
I think I would lean towards the broadcast getting the more accurate data. They got more to lose, I'd say, in a certain respect.
Sure.
I would go with that. So we're hovering in and around. Let's say we can still maintain that the women's only world record is still definitely under threat, and certainly the course record is under threat as well.
Broadcast just showed Alex Cyr, one of the pacers and a newly minted 2:06 marathoner, stopping his pacing duties, finishing up, taking a selfie with a fan, and starting his cool down. So that's the stuff we want to see.
That's right. So he's run into what? Around just shy around 30 kilometers, more or less.
And we have some separation inside of the men's top
The
six.
move.
I knew it.
Not
30K.
much separation, but a little bit. Sebastian Sawe, as expected, putting about maybe 15 to 20 meters on the rest of the field, and Yomif Kejelcha shadowing him closely.
Going with him.
Now, if I'm Jacob Kiplimo, who's
Yep.
back there on screen left or on the right, if you're thinking about in terms of the runners, he has got to match this move right now, and he's trying to.
He's
So
trying to.
chasing
There he
right
is.
now on his own.
He
He's got
has
to
to.
match this move and not fall asleep right now, or this race is absolutely over for him.
So Sebastian Sawe, once again, the most flawless of all marathoners in this field, is not lost a major marathon. He has never run slower than 2:03. I'm unsurprised to see him pushing the pace at this stage of the marathon. Remember, many of the other runners in this lead pack are best known as half marathoners. They're track runners. Sebastian Sawe might be the most truly the cleanest marathoner out of all of them. And so, but Kejelcha is surprising me because it's a debut. And it takes a lot of guts to run with arguably the best marathoner in the world deep into the race and not letting him gain a step. And I mean, I'll say Kejelcha looks great.
Wouldn't it be cool if Yomif Kejelcha just like showed up like a boss here, wins the London Marathon, and then we've got a fourth guy just out of nowhere? You know,
we're
a
gonna
lot
have
of these
to start chiseling, Michael.
Exactly,
We're gonna have to another face on Mount Rushmore, of marathoners.
It's like, well, there's 4 faces in Mount Rushmore.
Yes.
Cyr, can you name the 4 faces in Mount Rushmore?
Well, the marathoning one or the real one?
The real one.
Oh, no.
Give me your marathoning one.
No, the marathoning
one.
one.
Is easy.
Yes.
Well, you have John Courier, you have Sebastian Sawe, Jacob Kaplimo, and I think right now
Benson
Caputo. Benson Caputo.
It has to be Benson.
Like active male marathoners is what we're talking about right now. So you're not factoring in Eliud Kipchoge. I'd say Benson Caputo would be your number 4. He's won 4 of the world majors.
Are you going to switch him out with Kejelcha if he wins this race?
If Kejelcha wins and sets a course record or world record,
someone's getting
or
booted.
Top 3 fastest times in history. That's a big talking point. So we do have. So if you're watching the live stream, or if you're not, we'll give you the update here. So you got Sawe's in front in the pink, and he won this race last year. He's arguably the best marathon runner running right now, but he's being trailed by Ethiopia's Yomif Kejelcha, who is debuting in the marathon, but a very good half marathon runner. And then trailing behind, running like mad, trying to close the gap, is Jacob Kiplimo.
Mm-hmm. But it looks like it's kind of working. Kiplimo has separated himself from what's now become the first chase pack and is looking to, I think he might be gaining on the top 2.
Well, this is the move, so it's like make or break here, right? I mean, if you're Kiplimo, you're just telling yourself, just close this gap, worry about the next 5K and 5K, and just focus right now on closing this gap. And he's just thinking about Kejelcha. It's like... he just needs to slingshot past Kejelcha if Kejelcha starts to fall back. But otherwise, he just needs to track these guys, get up with them, and then hopefully things settle and normalize for him so that his heart rate can come down a little bit and then he can cruise a bit. It's like, I mean, this is kind of where running is running, right? Where it's like you're an elite athlete, you're a mid-pack athlete. It's a surge, and then you got to settle and you got to get comfortable and normalize your heart rate, and then get into a rhythm again. But this is an incredible moment here.
And we can see that it is getting warmer as well, because Kejelcha, just as you were, took the gloves off because he took his armbands. He literally had arm warmers on and just stripped those off and threw them to the side. So it is probably getting a little toasty out. Yeah. The sun is shining, and they're getting towards the end of the race.
I think Kiplimo here, who is all but closed the gap, has basically saved his race.
Yeah,
and it's a really hard thing to do when there's a surge like that. We'll get the splits in a minute here. We'll try to pull up that mile split as well when we see it, because I'm really curious to see how hard Sawe surged there. My guess would be quite significantly. Again, this is very similar tactics to what we saw last year from Sawe, which is right around a bottle station. Actually, I believe last year it was right around the moment we're seeing now on screen, which is where the surge was. But it was out of a bottle station though, so maybe it was back there a couple of meters. But we're gonna go back to the women's race here. Thankfully, no big changes, because we were just kind of locked in on the men's race for quite a bit there, a few beats.
They're getting somewhat close to 40, crossing around 37 kilometers here.
Right at 2 hours on the broadcast right now. So right on the race. So
we're finishing up.
Obiri's leading the front.
Yeah.
And then you got Tigges Sesefa in the pink in second, the Adidas athlete, and then the ASICS athlete. You've got Jocelyn Jepkosgei third. They're going single file right now.
I gotta say, I'm surprised to see Obiri commanding this race right now. Just about 5 kilometers ago, it seemed like she was about to drop off this pack. And so, Obiri, this is kind of the question that, well, you said this was your biggest storyline, Katelyn, and your biggest question is, can Obiri pull off a strong tactical race on a fast course while going a few minutes faster than she ever has? I think slowly the answer is becoming yes.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to show you on screen here the 3 shoes that we've got up in front here. So I'm going to do a little bit of magic here. This is going to be tricky. So we've got O'Beary is wearing the On prototype right now. And then you've got, hold on, I'm going to go back to us here. And then you've got, I'm not as good as our videographer.
Well, you're
Koske is.
multitasking.
Yes, that's right.
And
You're
then
doing a
we've got-
fantastic job.
And then we've got the Pro Evo 3 on the feet of Tigges Sasefa. First time we've seen that shoe ever in a race. So far, so good. Sawe in the front, Adidas athlete. The men's side, leading the race. Then we've got Tigges Sasefa wearing it in the women's race. If you went 1-2 with the Pro Evo 3 and had 2 big records, I think it's safe to say that they're not gonna have any problem selling the shoe anyway. But
I don't think so.
the few pairs that they've got left, they've got available. And then the third shoe in the mix for the women's race is the Asics Metaspeed prototype shoe, which we have no idea when that's ever going to be available. Theoretically, these shoes are supposed to be made available, at least in a small batch, before they're allowed to be worn competitively. But I just feel like these brands are just bullying World Athletics left and right here. So,
Well, it's a bit of a weird rule. I kind of sympathize with the brands, with World Athletics requiring the brand to make these shoes available to the public. It's a huge undertaking to make these shoes in mass and send them out to the public as you're still testing on them. Some of them are specifically made for elite athletes, as we now know with the Asics Metaspeed Ray. Their shoe engineer telling me that it was made for a 2:15 marathoner or faster. And so these, like, let's be honest,
soul crushing.
Kind of
like,
exclusive.
some of these shoes just aren't made for everybody.
Right.
So yeah, it is what it is. Now, I'm waiting to see the next men's split because the last piece of information that we received from men's time, Sawe, Kajelcha, and let's put Kaplimo in that mix because he's still in that
back
pack,
there.
I'd say, yeah.
is that they're 28 seconds faster at 30K than Kelvin Kiptum was when he crossed 30K when he broke the world record.
Okay, so one caveat to that. My pushback on that will be, okay, yeah, sure, on paper that sounds like, well, okay, they're way ahead. But the thing about Kelvin Kiptum was, and that made him, I'm going to say something a little bit controversial, but made him maybe the greatest marathon runner of all time.
Sure.
Although we had a small sample size, unfortunately, is that he was the best at closing a marathon in history. The best. Negative splits.
splitter.
Insane. It's him and John Career, the only 2 people in history that have run a sub 60-minute second half of a marathon.
It's incredible.
So, and John Career did it off the back of a very slow, well, not very slow, but a more gradually paced first half in Chicago 2 years ago. So, we're in breaking Kelvin Kiptum's record territory here, both course and maybe world record. But we've got to remember that Kelvin Kiptum was special, and he always ran down his races.
Yeah.
These guys are no less special in some respects. I'm a big Sawe guy, but to negative split the second half on world record or course record pace is a big ask for even the best athletes alive.
And we've had some comments on the live stream asking and mentioning Kiptum and asking us if he were still alive, that do we think that he would run the sub 2? I think he already
Yes.
would have run the sub 2.
I think it would have been done. Well, he was okay. So when he died in the spring of 2025, was it? No, I'm trying to think.
For
2024, I think, yeah, it's
It's
coming
like
up on
time
2
is
years.
flying.
Yeah.
So when he died in the spring of 2024, he had just announced that he was going to run
Rotterdam? Right.
in April, and that he said, "I'm going sub 2."
Yep. He knew it.
I mean, that would have changed the fate of the sport in many respects. Obviously, it would have changed a lot for him. It would have changed a lot for Nike, I think. It would have changed a lot for the Rotterdam Marathon, put
sure.
them on the map as well. But it's like a sliding doors moment, right? That car crash just changed so much in the sport, and obviously a devastating thing for his family. And it's just really like an understatement to say it's a tragedy that man is not in this race today.
So the women's race here, just crossing the 2 hours, 5 minutes mark. Still your 3 suspects. So once more, if you're just tuning in, 3-horse race between Helen O'Beary, the time trialing queen, who's got 4 major marathon victories, all in Boston and New York. seeing if she can hold pace with faster times. Just behind her, Tigges Josefa never finished outside of the top 2 at a major marathon, so she's going to try to keep the streak alive.
Nice stat.
Current second fastest marathoner in the world, if we don't count Ruth Chepngetich, who's been popped for doping, likely the class of the field. And then Jocelyn Jepkosgei, the most experienced athlete on this course in London, previous champion, wearing that yellow bib. No one showing a sign of weakness here. So, I don't know. Katelyn, at this point, we're about 5 kilometers in, 5 kilometers left.
5 kilometers to go.
It's even more, 3 or 4. What was your pick off the start, and are you changing it?
Okay, I think my pick off the start, well, because you know that I just really wanted to know what Hellen Obiri was going to do. I don't think we did 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
But I usually choose with my heart, and even though I'm also a huge Josefa fan, I really wanted to see what Obiri was going to do today. And kind of in the back of my mind there, I was hoping that she was going to win this race because I want her to show the world that you can be a versatile runner. And this is kind of a funny comment I'm going to make, but a lot of people think trail runners were slow. Oh, trail runners are slow. Trail runners aren't fast. When we get to road races, they think, well, they can't possibly run well today because they're used to hills and they're used to tactical running and slower running. And, you know, we see Hellen Obiri as this amazing hill runner. She likes the hard courses. She likes the tough conditions. And so I want to see that versatile side of Hellen Obiri, and for her to say, look at that. I just won the London Marathon, and I can also run 3 minutes faster than my PB. I just needed to take the hills out.
Okay, so you're Team Obiri for her versatility. Well, I think it's hard to bet against Josefa, but who knows? They all look really good right now, and now it's flipping on to the men. Mm-hmm. It really looked like Kiplimo was making a bid to join the top 2, but things are just getting harder and harder. Sawe and Kejelcha running very comfortably in the front. They're holding like a 5-second lead on Kiplimo, and that hasn't changed in a few kilometers. Now, I've been in this position in a race, albeit going much slower than these guys, where you're not losing ground, but it's just so hard to make up that ground. It feels like Kiplimo is just stuck just a tiny bit behind, and this is really where things get decided. The men are just about to hit 35 kilometers.
Yep.
And I feel like it's make or break for Kiplimo right now. And after talking to him in the press conference, it really kind of seemed like anything outside of top 2 would be a failure.
Oh.
And even not winning would be a bit of a failure. There's bragging rights, right? There's bragging rights versus between Sawe and Kiplimo, and right now, I just can't believe that Kejelcha's in the conversation.
I know. I'm so impressed, and I really love to see a debut like this. And I mean, he's holding on. I feel like if he were to go out way too fast, he would have fallen off maybe 5K ago. But I feel as though if you're getting up there and you're getting ready to close this race and you're coming up on 35K, you can hold on for another 7K. Mm-hmm. And he looks strong. They look very strong. Yes, I'm surprised that Kiplimo is falling behind a little bit. And like you're saying, Alex, if he doesn't get up with those other 2 guys soon, I don't think he's going to be able to make a comeback because the gap is becoming just a little too large.
Yeah, so we're entering total excitement and chaos territory here. But given that the women start before the men in the London Marathon, the finish times seem to happen roughly at the same time. So the women are about 6 or 7 minutes away from finishing, and this is going to be an electrifying finish because the 3 are still together.
Yes.
Tigges Josefa, Hellen Obiri, Jocelyn Jepkosgei. They showed again on the broadcast that they're right around world record pace. I'm starting to think that they're calling the women's only world record the world record pace here. Because we're looking at about a 2:15 mid to 2:15 high projected finish time. Here it is. Projected finish time, 2:15:30. Oh, this is exciting, okay? Remember, the course record held by Paula Radcliffe, 2:15:25. So right around that time.
Oh, they're so close.
And the women's only world record is well within reach, especially because there's 3 of them here. And at 40K, I really couldn't tell you who's looking more comfortable.
I mean, we're gonna get an incredible finish. We're gonna get an absolute fireworks finish between these 3. I don't know who to pick. I think we've been talking. I think we've been talking the least about Jocelyn Jepkosgei.
We have
because she's just sort of been just kind of hanging out in this trio, and I would say that Hellen Obiri has done most of the work in the last few kilometers.
Last 5K or so. Yeah, you're right.
But I would say that overall Tigges has kind of set the tone in this race as well. But then Jepkoske, of course, has been the quietest one. So it's hard to say. We're now like they keep oscillating back and forth between single file and kind of going 3 wide, which just I think indicates that no one is really willing to take the full lead and make a move even this late in the game. We're coming down to like the final mile, the final kilometer here. My pick, I'm going with Tigges.
Okay.
She's an 800-meter runner.
2 against 1.
She's got track speed. She's run this race a couple times. She knows how to run this race well. She won last year, but she's going to need to really carefully track Obiri because we're entering the Obiri zone, I'll call it.
She can also kick, though. Obiri can also kick.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You get final mile with Helen Obiri, you've entered the Obiri zone.
You could be in trouble,
yes.
yeah.
What we're seeing here is the greatest possible outcome that we could have predicted.
For all 3 of these.
For all 3, and for spectators, right? We knew
and
it was
for
going
the race
to be,
and for time. Absolutely.
We knew it was going to be between these 3. We weren't sure they were all going to have a good day. Interesting fact here with the mile splits. 25th mile, the slowest one so far in the race.
Look at that.
I think they're all, well, okay. Either they're all hurting.
Or they're all checking each other.
And they're waiting.
And it's unclear which that is, but I would imagine this is going to ramp up pretty significantly. We've got a mile, 0.2. It's probably right around a mile right now to go. So that's 1,609 meters rather to go for the rest of the world, apart from America. Although in the UK they also run in miles too. So
Tigges has the same expression on her face that I have while I'm shopping at the grocery store.
She does look so calm and collected.
She just like flashed a look at her watch.
look at the surging here. So Obiri is testing the waters here. She surged ahead for a second. And then Asefa matched, and then it's like almost watching a beautiful dance, right? It's because like she surges ahead, Asefa responds, and then Jepkoske responds, and there's sort of like this cascade of response. And there's another 3 side by side.
I wonder if Jepkoske at the end just surges ahead and she's kind of being a little conservative, who knows, and just sprints to a finish.
Well, I mean, that's what she's thinking, but at the same time, she's up against 2 of the best closers in all of marathon running and perhaps in marathon running history. So I think the closer we get to the finish line here as we're running towards the mall is the closer we get to the finish, the more this is playing into an anyone's game and not a Helen Obiri advantage in a sprint. We could very easily see them hang a right and then hang another right, and we have an all-out drag race in the last few hundred meters of the race.
But the way that they're looking, this just looks like a ticking clock for whenever Tigges blows the doors off of the other 2.
I like your confidence in my pick.
Well, just the visuals. Like looking at her now, I can't see. Okay,
so
maybe a slight.
We've got Asefa making a move here, although she's not creating a gap. She is in the lead. They're making turn 1, and we're going to get the second turn coming up here, and then we're going to have the final close here.
Now, early signs of vulnerability or late signs of vulnerability for Jocelyn Jepkoske. It's going to be a 2-horse race that is now becoming a 1-horse race. Here is the break. Tigges 20, 30, 40 meters in a few seconds on Helen Obiri.
Wow. All 3 of them are now equally spaced. Asefa is just absolutely crushing them. I think Obiri left this too late. Obiri's sort of window of success is around a mile. Asefa has taken off here. She's in the home stretch. She just passed Buckingham Palace. She is going to win the 2026 London Marathon. The question is just by how much and how close she will get to. She's not going to get the course record.
She won't get the course record.
She's just past 2:15:25 now. So there will not be a new course record, but there will conceivably be a new women's only world record.
Looks that way.
Asefa's like full finger
I have never seen her like
sprinting,
that.
and she's going to get it by about 10 seconds.
That is her own record that she breaks. Misses out on that $150,000 cash prize for breaking 2:15. So can still be happy with her own women's only world record.
PR for Helen O'Beary.
Big
250
PR.
high, and then Jocelyn Jepkosgei coming in third place, just under 216.
Guys,
So,
I think we'll talk shoes in a minute here, but I think that Tigges Assefa was wearing the Pro Evo 1 again.
no.
I think she was. Anyway,
No.
just,
Really?
I mean,
Keep an eye on that.
she famously, when she set the world record in 2023, took the shoe off and like kissed it like it was like a religious totem. So O'Beary repeats. She wins again. She's getting a huge hug from her team right now, and
Assefa.
I mean, what a big. Assefa. Sorry, my brain is fried right now.
Of course.
Assefa wins. She's getting
Yep.
a big hug. Now O'Beary's getting hugs as well. And so she's a repeat champion. She's broken her own women's only world record by unofficially about 10 seconds. And the question becomes, is she the greatest marathon runner in the world? Because she's just been she's on a dominant streak right now. Obviously, we're missing some names.
Fatih Tesfaye, one of them,
Fatih
running
Tesfaye.
a 210. Would have been great to see her in this field.
But
and
she's
Sifan Hassan
she's
as
a
well.
one-shot deal thus far, and has not raced against the best in the world.
Correct.
She did that race. She did that performance in Barcelona, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, the
Right.
land
But-
of fast marathons.
That's right. So, Tigges Assefa, women's only world record. She came, she saw, she conquered. Helen O'Beary, second place. I think she'll be very happy with the day.
Of course,
She
yeah.
redefines her marathon running career. She is now a 2:15 woman.
Yep.
She made a huge jump. I mean, we knew that she was going to run faster than her previous personal best because they were all from New York and Boston her previous times. But she is now in a new class. And then Jocelyn Jepkosgei gets the bronze medal. I imagine she's probably second guessing herself, thinking about her tactics throughout this race, but still a
Still.
great performance.
I'm going to be very curious to know what Helen O'Beary is going to do next. I wonder which race she's going to choose. If
Well,
she's going to do another
Or
flat
or
race.
she just goes back to New York.
I wonder.
Or
Yeah.
they will offer her a significant amount of money to return as a champion. Or if she gets tempted by a Berlin or a
Maybe.
Chicago.
Sydney.
Oh.
She's
Too
destined. She's destined for Sydney. I would say late August.
Another really
Yeah.
tough
So-
race.
So 4 months. I could see her
Right
I
up
could
her
see her-
alley.
But
One
I
of the
think that-
interesting challenge actually for a race like Sydney that comes in late August is how do you talk in the world's best runners into who've just done Boston or London? How do you talk them into a tighter turnaround to run your race? I guess the answer to all things is money,
Yeah.
but that will be a really big question to see who they pull. I guess Sydney will probably pull athletes who've maybe run Valencia or Tokyo. I think we'll
Right.
start to see this like Tokyo, Sydney, and then we'll see the more conventional April majors, and then Chicago or New York in the fall.
Cheers to Jepkosgei, 5th London podium, and
Wow.
I was just going to say,
Wow,
I
yeah,
think
that's depth.
the stream. I think needs to show the men's race. They're now showing the
Yeah.
men's race, but the chase pack looks like 3 British athletes led by Patrick Dever are catching up to
That's Petros
a
there.
hurting Amanal Petros, all wearing the same Puma kit. So. Petros was looking to break that European record
And that
and
is
run
definitely
deep
not
into the
happening now.
203s, and that's poor Petros.
Patrick Devers looking really good driving the trio there in the middle and the front. And he's a guy who, they've got a projected finish for these British guys in and around 206.30 and around there. 206.27 is the projected finish for him right now. He's a 208 guy.
Yeah.
He's looking to make a big jump, and I would say the 3 of them, Mohammed, Patrick Devers, they look really good right now. So we're gonna maybe see not a record-breaking day for the UK, but one of those days like we saw with the US men's runners, as well as Jess McLean, I should say, in Boston, where you saw this big breakthrough day, and it kind of felt like there was this big generational not changing in the guard, but like a big sea change among this group of athletes where suddenly you're like, whoa, suddenly there's a lot of guys.
Yeah, where 205, 206 is the new 208, 209.
So let's get back to the men's race.
Back
There's
to
been
the
a huge
leaders
development here.
So Sawe and Kajelcha clearly 1-2. At 35K, Kaplima was just 2 seconds behind the two. Now, clearly more than that.
Now he's 10 seconds behind, maybe.
He's
I'm just
almost
doing a
getting
count
hard
here.
to see.
He's getting hard to
back
see.
there,
I would
yeah.
say, I hate to say that this late in the game, it's very, very difficult for someone to come back with that much of a gap. But we should say Sawe's got company and Yomif Kajelcha.
Yep.
I don't want to give Adidas their prize just yet, but they just took home the women's race, and we have 1-2 right now, the Adidas athletes. So I know for a fact that both of these athletes are wearing the Pro Evo 3. So if Asefa didn't, they certainly are.
Yeah, because both of these guys told us that they were wearing the Pro Evo 3.
Oh my God. Mile 24.
4:12. That's what
like-
I was
that's
just
like the
looking
fastest
at.
mile I've ever run.
Yeah, 4:12 and
So
mile 24.
got an oh my God from Alex
Yep.
because he realized that these dudes 40, well, almost not 40K, but the late 30 kilometers into a marathon just sessioned a 4:12 mile.
That's
That's
wild.
wow.
Think about that. It's for the metric gang out of all of you, that's like a 355, 1500 meter. Just boom into the race like that. I have not seen a mile split that fast in a marathon. If there's a world record for fastest mile inside of a marathon, that might be it.
Okay, that's a note to flag.
Okay,
That
we're
is
gonna-
something to flag. Certainly fastest mile split in the second half of a marathon for sure.
Look at
right?
the projected finish, guys. 2 hours and 30 seconds,
Dude,
just
they're-
under the world
okay.
record.
Crazy.
Everybody, if you're following along with us right now,
This is massive.
the world record is maybe
on the line.
is maybe going to go down. And Sawe's just checking his watch like he's late for a meeting or something.
So other time to keep in mind, 2:01:53, the fastest marathon debut in history, belonging to Kelvin Kiptum. Kajelcha, barring catastrophe, is going to crush that.
I should correct myself from earlier that I said Sawe the fastest debut is the second fastest debut. So
Oh, okay. After Kiptum.
yeah.
Either way, that's going to belong to Kajelcha very soon, I think. This is wild.
Absolutely nuts. And it's what's particularly impressive about this is that the one of the two guys in here who's looking really good is a debut marathon runner.
Yes.
Can you imagine running the world record in your debut? It's like cracking my
Wow.
brain to think about this. I mean, he's a really experienced guy. He's been on the track for a long time, and he's obviously
But
had a
still.
lot of success with the half marathon as well. Wow.
But still, if it's your first time in a distance, it's still going to be extremely unheard of and impressive to break a world record in a debut.
Yeah,
Like
this
this.
is,
I
I
mean,
mean,
let's
this is
not
un-
count out Sebastian
Right, of
Sawe
course.
here, who is technically a half step ahead.
Yep.
And he is a master tactician and a great closer. So
Just so we know, at the 40K split, the expected finish time is 1:59:39, at least on the splits that we're getting on
Oh,
the
boy.
TCS
I mean,
app.
I'm
So are we
I am
looking at
so-
sub 2 hours?
I'm beside myself right now.
I don't even know what to think.
for all the time that we've talked about the sub 2 hour marathon, which seems so mythical, it almost seems wrong to have a debut marathoner beat it on the first
Can
time.
you
It
imagine?
does
Crazy.
feel like uncomfortable about that, but I do. We were talking about this off the top that Kajelcha is a really likable guy and an
Yeah.
interesting character, and he is a known commodity. So it's not like he's a complete nobody. So they're just giving Eilish McColgan some screen time here as she's coming into the finish. She's going to finish just under 2:25. I think it's going to be an unofficial time of about 2:24:51 or 52.
So top British athlete.
Decent performance for her, but I imagine that's not what she came here to run.
No, I don't think so. I think
Yeah,
she's more
'cause
around
she
the
was
220
pacing
range.
out around 220 in the
Yes.
first
Yeah.
half.
Yeah,
so,
I think that was the plan.
I mean, the marathon it's brutal.
It's brutal.
It's so it's tough to do what these men are doing. It's tough to do what we saw Tigges Sasefa doing. It's tough to close super hard in a race.
So a bit on Kajelcha, if you don't know him from his track background, he's a 28-year-old Ethiopian. He's in the same training group as Olympic champion Tamirat Tola and Tigges Sasefa. He's a 3-time Valencia half marathon winner. His
Half
road
marathon.
half marathon winner. His road racing career has mostly been him chasing fast halves across the world.
And just as you're saying this, Sebastian Salway is giving him maybe a little bit of putting on a little bit of a clinic and giving him a little tutorial on how to close the last kilometer of a race.
Are we going to see a sub 2?
I mean, this kind of feels right that Salway's taking the lead, but
Yeah.
also the question is, how fast will he close exactly?
Salway just did a head check here.
Yep.
He just did he just looked over his shoulder, not out of fear, but kind of like, have I broken this guy yet? Like,
Yeah, right.
So we're pacing in at 1:59:53 right now. This
This is
dude just
getting
ran
so
a
exciting.
4:12 mile, the last mile. What's this mile going to be?
I don't know, but it's very possible that surrounded by clothes and shoppers and coffee drinkers, we're witnessing history on our laptops
I'm
here.
going to flip the table. I'm so excited right now. This is nuts.
I am not going to lie. Coming into London, I said, we're going to London this year. It was a sign. I feel like we're going to see history in the making.
Well,
and
we're going to
we
see
are.
double history
We're
here.
going to see double history.
We're going to see a world record, and we're going to see a sub 2 hour marathon on a sanctioned course. We should note, of course, in 2019 rather, Eliud Kipchoge ran 1:59:40 at a test event in Vienna, but that time does not count for official world records because it was not under the specifications of a sanctioned race. He was all on his own. There was all kinds of added elements to help him, including a number of pacers all the way through to the finish. This is a different story. This is
I'm like feeling emotional.
this is the greatest marathon running performance in human history.
I think Salway was being very humble when he was saying, what I want to do is I want to break the course record, because that was his plan. That was his A goal, like his spoken A goal, at least what I heard. I think he was being humble about it.
You could barely get out of him that he was going to break a world record. His sponsor, Morton, also had to say it for him. Sent us a press release saying that he's been testing faster than ever before. Crazy to think that after winning Hot Berlin last fall in a time of 2:02 on a really hot day, apparently he had some health issues, a stress fracture.
Yeah, stress
He's recovered
fracture.
from
His
that.
back was bothering him.
600 meters, guys, last 500
600
meters.
Listen, I'm not a mathematician, but he's got 2 minutes to run 600 meters, and I've done that in interval workouts. So I think that this is a sub 2.
Come on. Oh, this is very exciting.
And he looks so good doing it.
Is that a smile?
Like,
Does
he's
he
just
know?
he's
I think he
Yeah,
knows.
he's checking his watch.
Oh, my goodness.
The
Man.
chat
It's
is
just
going
keep the intensity,
insane.
Keep the intensity.
Of course.
Yeah.
People watching know what's happening. I hope that everyone
making the
here is
final turns
realizing
here.
this is a sub 2 in the making here.
It is going to be close, though. I think it's
Yeah.
going to be
385 yards.
It's going to be 159 high.
Oh my God.
159
Hey,
high.
and remember,
so
it
exciting.
rounds up on the road. So
Yeah.
here
Oh,
we
God.
go. Okay, Sebastian Salway, just about to make the final turn, was widely regarded as one of the top 3 marathoners in the world, along with John Corrier and Jacob Kiplimo. Jacob Kiplimo is in his dust. John Corrier has run a 2:01:52. This is going to be next level. He's going to be mentioned in the same breath as Eliud Kipchoge, Kelvin Kiptum, and others as he goes down this final stretch here.
This is the greatest marathon running performance ever.
Yeah.
It's the greatest performance
I'm basically
ever.
holding my
Yeah.
breath, waiting for this for it to finish, just crossing my fingers he doesn't get a cramp. Come
We're
on.
going to get a sizable negative split here as well.
Wow.
So he's going to become just the third person in history to run a sub 1 hour in the second half of a marathon. He's going to do it in a big
Oh
way.
my God.
He's even
Oh my
No. This is insane.
159.30.
159.30 for Sebastian Salway.
I cannot
3
believe
minute
this.
personal best, just about.
Sub
new course
2
record.
hour marathon.
What
First time in
has
history.
happened.
What?
And he looks amazing at the finish line. The guy's not even doesn't even look like he's all banged up. He's
What
like,
did Kajelcha get? We didn't see the time when he came
also
through.
extremely close. It probably
Extremely close to
maybe
that
just
2 hour
over 2
mark.
hours.
I cannot believe what just happened.
Did 2 people just break the world record then?
We're
Wait.
going to find out. Well, 2 people have definitely broken the previous world record.
Yes.
But
Did Kajelcha just also go under 2 hours?
We don't
we're gonna
know.
get that time. in
We're
a
going to get
second
that
here.
time
Refresh
hopefully
that.
very soon.
And then in
Refresh,
third place,
refresh.
we've got Jacob Kiplimo, who by any other standards on any other day would have, this would have been the performance of the day, running 2 hours and 24, 25. Kiplimo runs 2 hours, 28, 6 seconds. He breaks the previous world record, but that does not matter anymore because we have two men in front of him who have at least one man we've got for sure has run a sub 2. That is Sebastian Sawe. Sebastian Sawe, the new world record holder, will get the official time in a matter of moments here.
I think something happened with the app.
Under 1:59. The app broke because so many people are refreshing it to figure out if it's real or not.
They have Jacob Kiplimo coming in first in 2 hours. I think they didn't think that anyone was going to get under 2 hours, and it just broke.
Yeah, maybe you're only allowed to put times after the 2 hour mark.
Exactly, that's what I'm thinking here.
Oh man.
Oh my goodness.
Guys, I'm like kind of shaking.
Okay. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
This is what we have unofficially. Sebastian Sawe, 1 hour, 59 minutes, 30 seconds. Kejelcha, 1 hour, 59 minutes, 41 seconds. Marathon debut.
That's crazy.
So we've got...
That's crazy.
We've got the first sub 2 hour marathon in history has just been run in London by Sebastian Sawe. We have got another sub 2 hour performance by Yomif Kejelcha in his debut. So that's the fastest debut marathon in history by quite a bit. And then we have in third place, Jacob Kiplimo has run under the previous world record time in 2 hours and something seconds. We'll get the unofficial result for all three, and we'll get the official result and confirm those in a second here.
So far, 2 hours, 28 seconds.
God,
what a
was
day.
Insane.
Wow. Yeah.
Well,
this is a paradigm shifting race. Is it the shoes? Is it the nutrition? Is it the athlete? Is it all three? We're going to dissect that for months.
So the Bannister effect. Roger Bannister breaks 4 minutes in a mile. Then all of a sudden we see this cascade of athletes in the next couple of years shatter that barrier because they know that they realize that they could. Are we going to see a Sawe effect?
Who knows? I mean, even when Kipchoge broke the 2 hour mark, even if it wasn't on a legitimate course, no one followed. It was just too hard to do.
Yep.
The Bannister effect only goes so far. So I don't know. Maybe we do, maybe we don't. Is the rest of the world ready for something like this?
So we're seeing, I think in fifth here, Tamaratola is coming in with, he will get under 2 hours and 3 minutes. So that's a PB for him. But I mean, he's literally like a mile behind Sawe in the finish. Literally a mile.
A mile.
Yeah.
A mile. No one's going to remember Tola's. That's crazy. Not that long ago, Dennis Kimetto was running 2:02 high, and everyone bowed down. This is an afterthought. It's a footnote.
Paradigm shifting performance. That
Absolutely.
is, you said that, it's apt here. This has changed the sport forever. This race.
Yeah.
I'm in shock.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm in shock. I'm excited for the sport.
We will want to know
for these
every
athletes.
single thing about Sebastian Sawe's prep, about his workouts, about his fueling, about the technology, everything about what this man did to run that race. We will want to, and we'll also want to know what Kejelcha
did, of course.
I mean, I think Kejelcha benefited obviously hugely from having Sawe in, he and Sawe working together throughout this. But Sawe just, there
are no words.
I'm a
there
guy
are no
who doesn't,
words
I'm not
at
at
this
a loss
point.
for words very often in my life. And I don't want the recency bias to creep in too much here, and we'll save this for the instant reaction podcast in a second. But put a pin in this take. Is Sebastian Sawe the greatest marathon runner in history? We'll talk about that in the instant reaction podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Very difficult to compare, obviously, careers. He's still very early in his career, but when you put down a performance like that is far and away the best marathon performance I think in history.
And we talked about this last year, and we knew it was coming because we all said at Berlin, if it hadn't been so hot, something different would have happened.
Sure.
And we just saw it today.
But 2.5 minutes?
Wow.
That's crazy. You know what? Funny thing too, he was faster than Kipchoge on a non-regulated course.
Yes.
This is the fastest marathon ever run, bar
Period.
none.
Full stop.
Yes.
Full stop.
Period.
And I believe Kejelcha in second place Was he with, was it 159.40 that Kipchoge ran or 41?
Roughly that. Like Kejelcha basically ran Kipchoge's
Yeah,
time.
because he right now unofficially it's 159.41 for Kejelcha.
Yeah, so he's unofficially 1 second off of what Kipchoge ran in 2019 in Vienna.
Oh no! Now
My
the stragglers
goodness.
are coming
The
in.
stragglers
at
coming at
2:05.
5. Yeah,
Can
and
you imagine?
They've just been like buried. Oh, we are gonna get. I think this is the Mohammed coming in here. The top British athlete. This
Shoulder
is a battle
check.
for it as
Yeah.
well because I think Patrick Devers is just trailing him here, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they're coming in a stretch here. All of them wearing the Puma kit. So
Yeah?
Mohammed, I think it might be Peter Lynch next to him. We got to get a good camera shot on whoever's chasing. Okay.
So they'll come in at like 206 low, which is
Wow.
great performance.
Might have
Okay,
been
let
Peter
me
Lynch
refresh.
ahead of Mohammed. Yes, I think that's what we saw.
Yes, Peter Lynch just came through 206.08.
Lynch, Mohammed,
Dever.
Dever.
and after that, 3 great performances.
Wow.
After the top East African athletes streaming in. I mean, this is one of those things. I remember talking to some of the Olympians in the women's 10,000 meter race in 2016 in Rio, and that was a world record day. Elma Zanyana ran a crazy world record and pulled everyone to this insane fast time in Rio, and it created this cascade effect where she went out really hot and everyone kind of chased, and then there was like I don't know how many. It was like 10 national records in that race, and so what you see is if the group in the front take a massive risk and go for it, and the day is good, the conditions are right, it pulls the whole pack to greatness. And boy, did Sebastian Sawe just pull a group of people to greatness, including Yomif Kejelcha, who now we've got another guy.
We've got another
We
guy.
got a
Another
fourth guy. Now we've got
Start chiseling away.
now we got a fourth guy. And by no means discount Jacob Kiplimo's performance. I mean, he ran 2 hours.
Yeah.
He ran
I know.
25 or something like 2 hours, 25 seconds, something like that.
And could you just imagine that 6 days after commandingly winning the Boston Marathon, John Courier is now like the clear lagging fourth in that group of
I
4
can't
athletes?
believe that. No.
Wow.
That's wild.
What an incredible day, guys. And we got to
Absolutely
experience history
incredible.
I'm
being
shaking.
made today together here
I'm
in
shaking.
London. Yeah.
Yep.
So what's everyone in the chat saying? People are pretty impressed.
People are losing their shit. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
fair
it's,
enough.
yeah.
Fair enough. And rightfully so.
Someone just said 13:42 last 5K for Sawe. So
13:42.
1342.
It's a very
Okay.
good quality 5K.
it's a good 5.
That's a good 5K road
It's
race.
not bad.
I'm really curious to see his final mile split because his mile 24 to 25 was 4:12,
Yep.
and then mile 25 to 26. I want to see what that's.
Yeah, I need to see what
Yeah.
that is.
Yeah.
It says Adidas just popped the champagne.
They
Someone
did
said in
indeed.
our
They
chat
did
there.
indeed.
They
You know what?
absolutely did.
Just to add on to the stats, the BAA 5K, the elite 5K that happens on Boston Marathon weekend,
Yeah.
the quickest mile that the elites ran in that race, 4:13.
There
You're
you go.
kidding.
There you go.
4:13. 4:13.
Wow.
And Kejelcha and Sawe drop a 4:12, 24 miles into this race. This is a new
just
type of
finishing
running.
off the marathon. Wow.
I need to know about these shoes. I need to know.
We all need to know about
So
these.
we do know a little bit about the Adidas.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, you see, wrote it down there. So they put him down as 1:59:30 is what he wrote on the shoe. So I guess that's going to be the official.
That's the official time
Because
then.
otherwise, he's going to have to cross it out and then
Yeah.
rewrite it again. 1:59:30 is a new world record. It's as you said, Alex, it's a paradigm shifting performance in our sport. And it is, I think, one of the great performances in global sports this year or in the last number of years. It is a day that runners and the city of London for sure will remember forever. And what a day. So we had 2 world records today. Let's not forget Tigges reset and lowered her own world record the women's only race in 2:15, and then we had the 1:59 by Sebastian Sawe. Wow.
Crazy.
Wow. Okay, so
This is a very special
So
day.
the trip to London was worth it.
I would say so,
Yeah.
guys. I would say.
And weird to think, Alex, that we were like chit-chatting with Sebastian Sawe a couple of days ago, and he knew he had this within him. And he was so chill and like low-key and friendly, and we were like, it was an awkward moment. Like, I think that Alex does the fist bump thing with the athletes, which I think is really classy, because he's like, we were talking afterwards, like, what if you like were like what if you were carrying a cold and didn't know it, and you got one of the greatest runners in the world sick before the marathon,
very true.
and you ruined history.
I hope they're walking around with a bottle of alcohol and gel. Yeah,
I think Sebastian Sawe shook my hand, if I can remember correctly.
Yeah,
and I was
yeah.
just like,
Well, that picture you snapped.
so I'm healthy apparently.
Yes, yeah, maybe I'm faster now.
Yeah, exactly.
Did it rub off on me?
Did it absorb in? Yeah.
That picture you snapped of Sawe and me is going straight to Instagram.
Oh yeah, you're.
Guys, it looked like Peter Lynch has a national record. We have a bunch of records and PBs up here on the stats board.
An Irish national record for Peter Lynch. That's going to be the shame of this race. So many great performances that will be buried by the great performance.
Yeah,
of
we
the
should
day.
note here, like, Yomif Kejelcha, national record holder for Ethiopia in the marathon now, needless to say,
Just
with
on
the
a debut.
1:59.41. Obviously, Jacob Kipalimo of Uganda, national record holder.
Again.
And it's almost like sad when you see like PB next to the person's name. So it's like, that's an amazing performance, but like,
Amos Kipruto, 2:01:40.
Yeah.
Incredible time.
Yeah.
4th place.
I saw on the women's side, Julia Patton, she also ran a national record. She's from Uruguay, right?
Yeah.
Yep. She ran a national record. So there's going to be a lot of things that we're going to have to look up, because you're right, they'll be overshadowed by the sub 2. So we have to make sure we give everyone the recognition they deserve today, because a lot has gone down.
Yeah.
So
So we have nothing to talk about in the instant reaction podcast.
The Instant Reaction podcast will be 4 hours long.
4 hours long.
we'll try to keep it to a tight 45. We promise. What were we going to do? We're going to wrap that. We're going to wrap up the live stream, the live watch along in a couple of seconds here. And what we'll do is we're going to roll right into our instant reaction podcast. We're not going to stream it live. We're going to record it because we're going to pull in our colleague Jessie Carveth, who's our news editor, who's actually at the finish line. We're going to give her a moment to talk to the athletes, because she's going to be in the mix zone. She's going to be
She's going to get to speak to Sawe.
Follow us on Instagram.
Yeah.
She's going to be talking to Sawe at the finish line in the mix zone in a couple of seconds here, if she hasn't already.
Yep.
And I've talked to Kejelcha as well and pick his brain on what that was like, and then talk to Sefa, Helen Obiri, and the whole crew. So we're going to wait for her to do her thing at the finish line, talking to the athletes, and then we're going to pull her in and we're going to nerd out on what we just saw. We'll talk about this historic day. We'll talk about the sub 2. We'll put that into context. I want to ask you guys if you think that Sebastian Sawe is now the GOAT. Can you be the living GOAT? Can you be the GOAT in the midst of GOATdom? If you're like, you've still got a lot to add to your resume, can you be considered the greatest of all time? We'll debate that. We'll put Tigges Sefa's performance into context. We'll talk about where Helen Obiri goes next with this. We'll talk about Yomif Kejelcha, what we can anticipate from him in the fall and beyond. We'll talk about other nerdy stuff too. We'll see if we can. I mean, it's going to take some time before all the runners in the field finish officially, before we find out whether or not we're going to get 60,000 plus finishing in London. And the instant reaction pod will. I mean, we could just talk about the elites the entire time, but we will talk about what London is to do now. We're at the absolute apex in popularity of this sport, and that is a storyline for the ages in the elite end of the sport. So interest has never been higher in marathon running. Are we going to see London shake things up and alter the way the marathon weekend is done by adding a race, or what? So we'll discuss that in a little bit of detail, and then we'll wrap things up. And
When was the last? Has there been a men's marathon world record at London? Because I know we hear so much of
Yes.
Berlin, Chicago. When was the last time?
I believe it was 2005 with
So it's a
Khalid
while
Khannouchi
ago.
when he ran
He
the.
did that in London.
He
Was that
ran the
London?
He ran 2:05 and he broke the world record in the early 2000s. And
Okay,
also
so it's been a while
it's
for
been
London.
a long time.
Yeah.
It's been a long. Well, there was a time I think where the London Marathon was starting to be seen as like maybe not capable of producing a world record, but producing fast times because they pulled in big elite fields. And the thinking was, well, Berlin's where world records get run, and maybe Chicago. And that because of the turns and some of the eccentricities of London, that maybe it was just out of reach. Well, clearly that's not the case.
Turns out people were just making excuses.
What's
no
next?
excuse day. We already spoke about this,
Not
and there were no
today.
excuses today, friends.
What's next for Sebastian Sawe? Where does he run next? Does he go back to Berlin and try to run even faster? Does he get pulled over to the United States to run in Chicago? Or does he change gears and do a New York, for example? Is he interested in the World Marathon Majors, or is he going to be just focused on pushing down what was previously thought to be humanly possible even more in the fall? We'll break that down as well in the Instant Reaction podcast.
If I were Sawe, I would do a mic drop and say, "See you later."
Yeah, are you retired?
So-
And
Yeah,
what?
I
And
would
what?
retire.
And what? Go into the trails? So you're saying-
That's right.
That's a no, dog. How about 158 for a marathon? That's
Well, I
the
mean,
next
that's
question I have
next.
for you. I have for you in the Instant Reaction pod. We're going to jump into in a second. Here is: does marathon running on the men's side in the elite level become a little less interesting now that we've seen this? Not to throw some like cold water on this, but now that the chase is complete, is it a little less interesting?
No way. Oh, we're going to talk about this in
We're
the
gonna
Instant
talk about it in
Reaction
the
pod.
Instant
Okay.
Reaction podcast.
All right.
I wanna hear your takes
I'll keep
on
my
that.
takes to myself for now.
Wonder how Des Linden
Yeah.
is doing. If she's wrapping up right now, she's superhuman.
I can take a look for her.
I wonder how Cynthia Erivo has done.
Yeah. Yeah.
She is going after, I think she adjusted her goal to around a 320.
Yeah.
She actually, I think she got like a little bit of a reprieve because she was doing I think it was a one-woman show. She was doing Dracula in the West End.
Oh,
in
that's
London,
right.
And she was supposed to have, I think, 2 to 3 performances yesterday, and the performances got scrubbed last minute.
Yeah. Due to
Due
unforeseen
to unforeseen
circumstances.
circumstances, and because she's running the marathon today. But she is supposed to perform a matinee this afternoon after the marathon,
Oh.
which is nuts.
I have a Des
Arguably harder.
update. She is, she's at mile 18, and
Okay.
she's got an expected finish time of 3:01, so just over 3 hours. Now,
It's nuts that because she's running with a friend, right?
she's running, yeah.
She
Let's
ran
also remember.
30 something in Boston 6 days ago.
Yeah, she did because she paced her husband. And so she just ran a 2:30. She ran 6 days ago. And that she ran Marathon of the Sands a couple weeks ago, the 250 to 280 kilometer stage race. And so I'd say a 3-hour marathon is not too shabby.
No, not at all. I feel like
wild.
she's
incredible.
I should be
Wild,
broken
wild,
at this
wild.
point.
Okay, so keep an eye on our social media. I'm just looking at our Slack right now, and our colleague Jessie, who's doing like 5 people's work in the media center at the finish line.
I don't know how she's doing it.
She's pumping out the Instagram
Yeah.
post. We're gonna get it up. If we haven't already, we're gonna put out a post on like breaking down Sawe's splits, which is really fun to look at. Which will be really fun to look at. We'll try to get out whether or not that closing mile was the fastest mile in marathon history. I'm sure it's got to be really close if it isn't. And all the other angles that we'll cover, and then keep an eye on our feed on YouTube and on the podcast feeds. Your podcast feed in order to grab our Instant Reaction podcast, which we're going to record now and push out as soon as humanly possible after our colleague Dylan in Philadelphia. Shout out to Dylan, who's recovering from the big
Boston?
week in Boston. He was there shooting and editing with us in Boston. He's going to pump out the Instant Reaction podcast ASAP. He's waiting. He's waiting in the midst right now for the file. So we'll pivot into the podcast recording studio here live from Knees Up. Couple people to thank. The good people at Wahoo who make the Kicker Run, which is basically the treadmill version of the Super Shoe. It is one of the most compelling technological innovations in running that I can remember. It's the best full stop, the best treadmill I've ever run on by a long shot.
Of course, yeah.
It is available in the U.S. and in parts of Europe as well, and they're making it available in different countries and unlocking it in different countries seemingly every week. They've got a partnership with Koros now. We know that there's some other partnerships with some other brands coming down the line that just keep unlocking this technology further. If you train in inclement weather, be it hot or cold, it's like the only treadmill, I think. It's the only one I would consider. And it's a big investment, but it's a worthwhile investment for sure. If you're a serious runner, it is a tool you need. They've been our great partners in our live watch along shows for Boston and now for London as well. And hopefully we will continue that in the fall. And we're going to be back. So we're doing Sydney. We'll definitely have at least our colleague Jesse in Berlin. If Salway's going to Berlin, I feel like we got to get we got to get on the Marathon Handbook PJ and go over there and watch that magic. We'll be in Chicago. We'll be doing all of our Chicago, New York for sure. We'll be doing live watch-alongs. We'll be doing with an audience. We'll be doing our live shows with
Perhaps
an audience.
Toronto?
We'll do something in Toronto as well. Alex and I's backyard or
Of
home
course,
base.
you got to be there.
As we're watching on the broadcast, what's Peppa Pig's dad's name? Papa Pig?
I do not know.
Papa
I do not know
Pig
Peppa Pig.
Has taken a pause to chat with the BBC. Get out there.
This is the content that people came for.
Man, come on.
Who cares about a 1:59 marathon?
I think Papa Pig has a translator, and because it's like if you're in a costume, do you want to break the spell by talking? Anyway, so to recap, Sebastian Salway ran the first sub 2 hour marathon in history. He now becomes arguably the greatest runner alive of any stripe. We saw a debut in a sub 2 hour race, the fastest debut in history by Yomif Kajalcha shortly, just behind Sebastian Salway, and then Jacob Kiplimo in third. And then we also saw a women's only world record by Tighe Sissefa.
It's been a big day in London.
It's a big day.
Crazy.
We'll cover it all in the live watch on the Instant Reaction podcast. Refresh your feed feverishly. It will appear in the next little bit. All right. Thanks to the people of Knees Up on Hackney Road. An amazing venue. If you are ever in London or if you live in London, support this amazing space. It's a really beautiful running shop, but it's a cafe. It's a community space. They do a lot of really cool stuff here. They have been extraordinary, super generous, really warm. We're excited to come back here next year and do the live watch along here again next year. All right, let's spin into the Instant Reaction podcast.
Let's do it.
Don't go anywhere.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. And thanks for commenting as well. If you've been with us for the whole live stream, thanks for
hanging on,
communicating with us, and thanks for being a part of what we do. It's really, really fun. Mm-hmm. Okay, on to the Instant Reaction podcast. Thanks for watching.